So I'm sure you must have seen the thumbnail, and I assure you this is not a clickbait video. Hello, and my name is Henry. This is Architect Piper. In this channel we deliver Revit tutorial course as well as visualization courses. So this course today we are going to be delving into Autodesk Revit. So what is Autodesk Revit? Autodesk Revit is a building information modeling software. What does that mean? By building information modeling, it means if you are it's not just about modeling 3Ds, it's about modeling the 3Ds and translating the information to be able to be used to execute projects. So Revit is one of the best at that. In my channel I've covered different kind of projects in Revit full courses. I've done beginners course for even projects as big as hotels or hospitals, but this project I decided to go a bit more compact. So with this compact project I'm going to reduce the timeline we use to execute this project, and we're going to be taking every step of the way from conceptual stage to the drafting stage of the project up to the modeling of this Saloon. So the difference between this project and the other project I've done is it delves more into conceptual modeling and parametric modeling. So it's kind of show you the possibility of using Revit to bring your ideas into reality, not just the conventional stuff. So let me give you a little story. When I was using Revit in the beginning, or when I was trying to learn Revit, I came across some buildings that they told me were done with Revit. So I always give myself an excuse that no, they couldn't use Revit to do this kind of building because the information I knew about Revit, I didn't know extensively on how to use Revit. But in this video I'm going to show you that you can use Revit to actually turn any of your ideas into reality with just using the right tools in the right places. So this video, I assure you, we are going to take everything step by step, and I'm going to cover a lot about the interface of Revit. Another important thing of this project is the template file. So the template file, I'll be leaving it, the link will be in the description below. So when you get the template file and you're watching the video, I'm going to show you in the video how to carry the template file or transfer the template from the template file into your project. So it's very important, and it's important you get the template file. It will be for free. I also left the project file in the description below, so if you want to get the project file you can support the channel via that way and doing that. Okay, so with that said and done, I'm going to encourage you to hit the like button, subscribe to this channel for more content like this. With that said and done, let's jump right into the main stuff. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to open Revit. So we are currently using Revit 2024. So Revit 2024, you can still use the tutorial to learn different versions of Revit. I think even up to 17, so it's still fine if you are using a slightly different version of Revit. So if you open Revit, if you have not done anything on Revit before, you are not going to see all this. So this is like a history. It's used to show the top 10 recent files you have opened before. So these are also the recent families I've opened before. We're still going to go into that. So if you want to create a new project in Revit, it's very simple and direct. You are going to click on new. Under this new, this thing is now going to pop up. So what this icon means is that it's going to give you option to select your template file. So you can either choose to select default Revit templates, that is either imperial metric discipline or metric multidiscipline, either ones, or you can select your own project, your own custom template by clicking on browse. So what this does is that it's going to, if you select a metric multidiscipline, you are going to be working in the metric system, meaning you are going to be using units of meters, kilometers and all. While in the imperial you are going to be using feet and inches. So depending on where you work or your place of jurisdiction and your locality, you are going to choose the one you want. Okay, so you are also going to see the option to select either this or this. So this is to create, this is going to ask you what do you want to create. So we can choose to create a project, or we can choose to create a project template. So like I said, if you want to create a template is like a background from where you are going to be working. So if you click on project template, you are now going to create a template you can use for later projects, but for now we're just going to select projects and we're going to click OK. So Revit is going to open. Okay, so now the Revit is open. You are going to see a lot of these lines. So don't be too overwhelmed. It's just a simple stuff. So I'm just going to brief you through the interface of Revit. So we are going to start from this side. That is the right side. So in this right side, you have the project browser. So this project browser actually governs the views. So you can use it to browse through different views of the project. Like currently we're in a floor plan. We can click on 3D view to get a 3D. If you just click on it, this drop down is going to to show more views, we are going to click on 3D and you are going to see the 3-dimensional view. If you want to get to an elevation, you are just going to scroll down here. You are going to click on this plus icon and you are going to see the elevations here. So as I said, with this project browser, you can access different views and different sheets. So let's now go to the left side. So in this left side, you have what they call the properties panel. So what this properties panel does is that it gives you control over the properties of anything you're selecting in Revit. For instance, if you click on this scope box, for instance, you are going to see the properties panel is going to show. So it's now going to be giving information pertaining to this project, to this scope box. So you can see the height here is showing a height that is editable. The same thing, if I click on these levels here, you can see it's going to show us the properties of this level. So if you now go to this top panel, so this top panel contains like one of the main stuff. All of them are important, but this contains basically the main tools of Revit. You can start with the file where it gives you control over creating new files or opening older files. You have the architecture tab where it gives you architecture tools. You have structure tab where it gives you structural tools, prefabrication, foundation, and all those stuff. You have the still some structural tools and some joinery, welds, and all those tools. You have the precast. You have the systems, which you can use this to create piping systems and all. You have the insert key. This insert icon actually involves whether you are importing from AutoCAD, you are importing from Revit, you are importing from other softwares, or linking with other Revit files. You have the annotate. So this is basically like the annotates, where it has all the annotation tools from dimensions to creating text and graphical stuff. You now have the analyze for more detailed and beam analysis in the project. You have the massing and site, mainly for topography and for site features, creating and placing. And you also have the massing, where you can mass unconventional shapes and you can mass things you want to mass and create parametric massing in Revit. You have the collaborate. So Revit enables you to collaborate with different people to work on the same project simultaneously. So that is what this icon does. You have this view icon. So this view tab governs the view properties, how you can work and manipulate the views. You can access 3D views and all those stuff from here as well. You have the manage tab, which contains like the inventory stuffs of the Revit file. You can create new line types. You can transfer projects templates from other projects using this tab. You have these add-ins. So these extra icons here, this D5 render and Lumion, is like it doesn't come with Revit normally. So D5 is a real-time rendering software. Lumion is also a real-time rendering software. So in order to work from Revit to this rendering software seamlessly, I installed the live sync. So once I install the live sync, this thing is going to pop out. So with these two, you can see I can click on start D5. If D5 is open, I can export my models from Revit to this visualization software. So we now have this modify. So this modify is basically once you click on any annotate tool or you click on any tool that involves drafting, the modifier give you tools to manipulate that. So you are going to see how we are going to practically explore most of these tools here to create this barbing saloon we want to do. So the first thing we are going to do is to go back to this L1, that is this level 1. So this is like the floor plan here, this L1 and L2. So this L1 represents 2 levels. Okay, what are even levels in the first place? So levels are like vertical reference points in a project. So these vertical reference points are like the DPC, the lintel, the first floor, second floor. So all those are vertical points in the height of a building or stuff. So in Revit, you have to represent them using levels. So you can access each of those points as a floor plan. So for instance, you have the ground floor level, which is the DPC, that is your foundation. So in order to get the floor plan of it, you create a level at that height. So you will now click on it. It's now going to appear here as a floor plan. I'm going to show you shortly, then you are going to access it. So the first thing we are going to do now is we are just going to work on this view a bit. So I'm just going to select this section, click on it, that is left click. Once I left click and click on this, I'm just going to click on delete to delete it because I don't think we need this section. Then I'm just going to select everything here. I'm going to left click, hold, and select all of the, okay, let me left click from this point here and select this, hold control, left click again while holding control, select this, right click now, click on, hover around this hiding view, then click on by category, then also do the same here, left click, select this, right click, hide in view by category. So after doing this now, we're also going to hide in view this. These are elevation points. So these points govern your elevations. So for instance, if this is like a camera in Revit, sort of something like that. So this camera now gives you the elevation. If you click on this, you're going to see a line here. So it is the line of view. So if I create a box here, you are going to see the side of this box where this thing is facing, which forms an elevation. So if I delete all these things, for instance, if I left click and just delete all of them, you are going to see that all the elevations, view elevation, is going to be deleted. So I'm going to click cancel. So instead of it, because I don't like the way it's appearing in this floor plan, I'm just going to left click, select it, right click, hide in view by category. So lastly, we now come to this line here. So this line is basically the view crop region. So this view crop region, you know, this Revit environment is infinite. So this view crop region helps you denote which part you are working in. So you know, maybe model something here and model something another side, then you will start looking for them. So this view crop region helps you with that kind of thing. You can choose to hide it if you are feeling is a visual obstruction by just clicking on this hide crop region, then it's going to hide. But you can click on it again to unhide it because we still need it. So now we are now going to go to creating levels in Revit. All right, so levels are simple to create. So to create levels, we need to go to an elevation view. Okay, so we're just going to click on any of these elevations. So this is currently called East elevation. So you are going to see East architectural. You are still going to see all these friends plane and these scope boxes. So we can do the same thing we did on plan. Left click, hold, right click, hide in view by category. So we're not going to see that. So I'm just going to click on this L2 and delete it first. I don't need this L2. So once I click on delete, you are going to see some warning. So it's going to tell you that along with this selection, 20 elements and 10 views will be deleted. So this means that levels, like I told you before, levels, if you create a new level, it automatically creates a floor plan, because in as much as that level is a vertical reference point, is also a vertical section. So floor plans are basically horizontal section. So by creating a level here, and is creating a floor plan that I'm looking from the top of this and seeing that plan view where this level cuts through. Okay, so it's just going to warn you that it's going to delete all those plans. So I'm going to click on OK. So now what we're now going to do is this L1, we're going to change the name, because I don't want it to be L1. I want it to be the natural ground level. So I'm going to just double click on this. Once I double click to change the name, I'm just going to hover around this name here, double click, then, or just I can even single click once I hover around it. Then I'm just going to click on backspace and just going to change this to 01. I'm going to put numerical value. So the reason why I'm putting numerical value is that when Revit is arranging floor plans, it follows alphabetical or numerical order. So if you just put the names of the levels without putting a number to it, like for instance, NGL comes on the ground, then you have the first floor after NGL. But in terms of alphabet, F comes before N, so it's going to arrange the first floor first. So it's always important to put this numerical value. So it's going to arrange it to according to the level height. So this is 01, and I'm just going to call this NGL. Let me just click backspace and just put, so it's going to, so you can see it's going to create. So now there is a reason why there is a small issue here. So if you look at this floor plan, normally if I create a new level now, this floor plan level is meant to change. So since it didn't change, I'm just going to right click and just rename it again manually and call it 01 NGL. Then I'm going to click out. So after doing this now, we're now going to create new levels because it's only this NGL we have. So we're going to go to architecture. We're just going to click on level. So once you click on level here, the properties panel is going to change because it's now in level mode. So we're just going to click on this drop down here and we're going to select this 8mm head. So after selecting this 8mm head, we're just going to hover around here. So you're going to see a temporal blue dimension. So this blue dimension is going to serve as a guide to help us know the height difference between each of these levels. So, and another thing to know that if I are using metric multidiscipline, the unit is going to be in millimeters. So this 400 you are seeing means 400 millimeters. That is like 0.4 meters. Okay, so we're just going to, we can even impute the value we want. So I'm going to put 450. That is 0.45 meters to serve as the DPC. Then I'm going to place this here. So after placing this here, I'm just going to click on this and I'm going to so now you can see that before I change the name, you can see if I click on this, like these two levels are clustered. So what you can do to adjust this is to click on this second level. If you zoom in, we are going to see this zigzag icon here. So we're just going to click on it, click on this point and drag it up here. Then I'm just going to double click here and I'm going to change it to 02 DPC. You see that numerical value I was talking about. Then it's now going to ask us, would you like to rename corresponding views? What this question does is that it means that it's asking us whether it wants us to change this L3 that the name was before to this updated name. And I'm going to click yes. It's very important. So you are going to see 02 DPC. So we are now going to create the subsequent level. So for this is mainly a single floor project. We are just going to create like a roof terrace, an outdoor roof terrace. So it's mainly the DPC. So we are just going to create a slab level. We're going to click on levels again. Then we're going to create another, will I call it paint floor? Let me just call it paint floor. or deck. So this deck now, so once you are placing level, another thing to consider is when placing levels is you are going to consider the slabs. Okay, so in Revit, if you create a level and you go to that floor plan level and you draw a floor slab, create a floor slab on it, the thickness of that floor slab is going to offset downwards. So by the thickness offsetting downwards, it's going to chop into the space you allocated to that level. So it's always good to consider that thickness of the floor while creating space. So normally I want the headroom of this saloon to be 3 meters, but instead, or let me just say 3.3, but instead I'm going to be adding that 150 slab thickness and making it 3,450. Then once I click on it and enter, our level is going to create. So I'm just going to drag it. I'm not going to hold anything. Just once I click once, I'm just going to drag it and just drop it here. Click again, left click. Now I'm going to click on escape and I'm going to name this 03 or 04 deck level. So I misspelled the name. Okay, so now this is done. We're now going to create a roof level. So I'm just going to click on level again. I'm just going to make this 3 meter or make this 3 points. Okay, let me just make it 3 meter and just create this and call this roof level 05. So another important level I like creating is the lintel level. So this lintel level is important because I usually used to use it as, it just gives me more control over the project. So I'm going to click on level again. I'm going to place the lintel level 2.1 above this DPC. So I'm going to just impute 2.1, enter. Place this here. Okay, let me go escape. So I want to give you one note. So for instance, now you can see this dimension is showing from this point here to here. If I go up, it will be showing from this point here to here. So be careful where the dimension is showing before you impute the value. So now it's showing from this point to this point. If I put any dimension like 2.1, it's going to be from this point to this point here, 2.1. So I'm going to place this. I'm going to click on this and drag this down so it will not be chopping to this. Then I'm just going to call this 04 003. Okay, so after creating these levels, in order not to stress ourselves too much, because instead of creating everything from scratch, it's always good to use templates. So in the case of this project, we are going to be transferring template from a template file we are going to be using. So this template file, in my previous videos, I always used to drop it. So it's something I usually do at the beginning of the video to transfer the template from that project to the current project. So we are going to do the same. The link to the template file will be in the description below. So I'm just going to click on file. I'm going to, or I can just open my folder where the template file is, and I'm just going to drag this template file here to open it first. So now this template file is open. What we are simply going to do is we are going to go back to click on this original project. So once we dragged the project template file, it opened here. So we are going to see this tab appearing here showing the 3D. So if we click on this other tab, the fact that it's the same Revit we drag the project into is going to create like tabs similar to your browser. So you can switch in between tabs to access the different files. Like if I click on this tab, I'm accessing this new file. If I click on this one, I'm accessing the template file. So I'm going to go back to this tab here to access this our main file. Then I'm going to click on this manage tab. I'm going to click on transfer project standard. So you are going to see the option is going to show selected items to copy from. Is now going to show you this name. So this is the template file here. So I'm just going to agree and click OK. Then it's going to transfer the template. Then I'm just going to click on override to override all the similar things that are within the two projects. So I'm going to click on override and wait for it to copy. I'll transfer the template. Okay, so now the template has been transferred. You are going to see some little errors here, but you don't mind. So you can see automatically as the template transferred, our text font for these levels change. So this transfer of template makes things faster, because in this project now, we have created a lot of things we used to use to work, including the wall types, the railings and all this stuff. So we have created all of them in this file. So instead of creating everything afresh in this new file, the template reduces this time. So that is why I highly recommend it. Then I'm just going to click on this hide crop region. So now our levels are ready. We can now start drafting the main stuff. So we're going to go to this NGL and we're going to start drafting. So we're going to start with walls. We don't need to waste too much time. So I'm going to go to click on architecture. Then I'm now going to click on walls. So once you click on walls now, you're going to see a basic generic wall is going to appear in this properties panel. So your job is now to create a new type of wall or select the wall you want. So let's just click on this drop down. Since we have already created these walls in the template file, you are going to see walls are going to appear here that came from that template file, which makes things faster. So we're just going to be selecting this 225 wall or 9 inches wall in the imperial system. So after selecting it, I'm just going to briefly show you how to create your own walls if you want to create your own walls per se. So you're just going to click on it, select any wall you want. Let's say any wall you want. Click on edit type. Click on duplicate icon here, then give it the name you want. Let's just call this 000 new wall 225. Okay, then I'm going to click on OK. I'm going to click on edit type and I can change the thickness of this wall. I think the thickness is okay, but let me just change this to okay, 225 is okay. I can click on this material and change the material of the wall to what I want. If I click on this stone material and click on OK, the stone material is going to be, if I click on this edit type, you're going to see the stone material, which is fine, and click OK. So that is how to create wall. So you can see the basic generic wall. You can see it has changed color to orange because of the stone material we applied. So now I'm going to click on this drop down and I'm going to be selecting this 2254. So this barbing saloon is going to be very simple and generic, nothing too complex. So what we're first going to do is we're just going to click on this box tool here. We are going to click on this normal line tool first. Okay, let's not rush it. Then we're now going to go to this properties panel and edit the constraints of the wall. So constraints are like guidelines when you are placing wall. It dictates the height of the wall. So currently by default is going to show top constraint unconnected. The base constraint is usually the level which you are working in. So we are in NGL, so automatically the base constraint is the natural ground level. So we're now going to set this top constraint. Click on this drop down and set it to deck level. Then the offset, we're going to make sure is 0. The base offset 0. Then we're just going to, we can change this location center line from wall center line to finish face exterior depending, but let's just use this wall center line. Then I'm just going to click on line. I'm going to left click on one point, then left click on another point. If I want to continue, left click again, scroll here, left click again and go here. I can also draw walls in diagonal ways, so I can draw it irregularly any way I want to draw it. So this is just showing the freedom and control you have. So I'm going to click on escape, left click, hold and select all these extra walls and delete this. So now I can also adjust the position of this wall. After I've created it, it doesn't mean it's permanently like this. So I can left click and select these walls here. Then I can just once this four-way icon shows, it shows that automatically once the thing has changed from this normal mouse icon here to this one that has 4 corners, you just left click and hold and drag it. So it means you can drag it to center. You see, left click, hold, you can drag it anywhere. So I've dragged it here. So now we have drawn this box. The next thing to do is to, what is the size of this space we have just created? Because we have just created a space. If you go to 3D view now, you can go to 3D by going to this project browser under coordination. You are going to see 3D view. You can click on 3D view here. So, or you can simply go to this house icon here to click on 3D view if you want to view it. So let's go back to NGL. Click on this house icon here. We'll see 3D. So you can see the 4 walls here. If you want to change this view from black and white as it is now, you can click on this and change it from hidden line to shaded, and it's going to show the colors of this wall. You can also click on this and make the details fine. Okay, so let's go back to NGL now. So the next thing we are going to do is now to edit the size of this saloon. So we're just going to click on this. We are going to now change this width here. So it's going to show you a temporal dimension showing you from this inner surface to this inner surface. So it's going to help us dictate what we want it to be. So I'm going to click on this and I'm going to make this 6 meters in width, end to end. That is 6,000. Sorry, I have a bit of cold, so my nose is a bit clogged. So I'm just going to click on this and I'm going to make this 15 meters, 15,000 millimeters. So after doing this, or I can make this up to 20 meters, 20,000. So we're now going to be breaking the space. So in this saloon now, we will need some spaces here, and we're going to click on walls again to break this space, because since we know this is our boundary. Okay, so I'm just going to divide this space from this point here. and I'm also going to draw a space here, a wall here, and another small wall here. Okay, then I'm just going to draw another wall here to this point here. So what these spaces are going to serve as is, one is going to be a small record office, or I can even delete this wall. One is now going to be the staircase leading to the deck, and one is now going to be the convenience. So simple, straightforward. This is now going to be the reception, and this is going to be the main saloon with the outdoor terrace. So I can also go to annotate now, click on this detail line. So this detail line is just normal lines, and draw a line from here indicating that this is going to be, let's say, 5.1 meter. This is now going to be where the outdoor sit out is going to be on the ground floor, which I think is going to be nice. So after indicating a space for this potential outdoor terrace, we are going to start fine-tuning and detailing these spaces to a bit. So we are going to go to architecture. We are going to go to walls again. So after going to walls, instead of selecting this 225mm wall, we are going to click on this drop down. We are going to be selecting this 150mm wall. So these are for smaller functions like some other ancillary spaces, like let's say convenience is here. So we are just going to draw a wall here. We are going to draw another wall here. Then we're also going to go here. We are now going to draw a wall here and draw a wall up to this point. So we are just going to leave this space like this as it is. Okay, so after doing this now, I'm now going to click on escape. Then I'm now going to start adjusting this to the dimension. So I'm going to click on this. The distance between this point to this point, you are going to see this temporal dimension is going to apply here. So I'm going to change this to 2.4 meter, or I may even make it as small as 2.1. So I'm going to drag this here as well and drag this here as well. So after making that, I can click on this wall, click on this drop down and change it to 2251. So on making this like this, if I click on this and just go to annotate, go to align, then select any dimension here. You can use this dimension 1. Then make sure we set this at wall faces. Then dimension this point to this point. So we're now going to see the remaining dimension that is as a result of what we did here. So we're also going to go to annotate, detail line, and we're going to draw a line from here up to, let's use 3.6 and cut it here. Then we're going to click on this wall and drag it backwards here. Okay, so after doing this now, we're just going to go to annotate again, align. We're going to dimension from this point to this point here. Then I'm just going to click on this and make this 5.7. So after changing this dimension, I'm going to click on this wall and I'm going to change this to 1.2 because these are conveniences. Okay, so I can click on this, change this to 1.2. After doing so, I'm now going to click on this wall here and change this to 1.2. Or I may not even need up to 1.2. I'm going to make this 1.1 or 1 meter self. Click on this and also make this 1 meter. Okay, so now what we're now going to do is we're going to click on this. We're now going to click on copy, and we're just going to copy a wall to this point here. So now we're just going to click on this wall and we're going to impute the dimension of 1.5 meters here. Then this wall here, we're going to click on this and make this 2.1 meter. So after doing this now, I think our drafting is set now. So we have our staircase space. We now have the receptionist. We have a small waiting area, the main door here, and these two other spaces, which we are going to see the function shortly. So we are now going to go to DPC because it's the DPC we are going to be placing all the doors, windows, and stuff, and basic stuff. So now we are going to set up this view. We are going to select, click, select everything here, right click and hide in view by category. So after doing this now, we have this all set. Okay, so now we are now going to start giving these rooms names and naming them. So I'm just separating these rooms. So we are going to go to, so there are two ways of annotating rooms in Revit. You can use the normal text method, which I won't recommend, but it's just to, once you click on annotate, you go over and click on text. You select the kind of text you want. You can edit the parameters, put whatever font you want, change the size, and just put the name here. Just left click and just put, let's say, call this Saloon here, and we can name this, let's say, stairway. But This method, I will not suggest it because this is Autodesk Revit is a BIM software, which is building information modeling. So it translates information from your building to practicality. So when you are modeling something, you'll be able to extract information and use it in the execution of the project. So for this to work, we need to do it a better way. So to do this now, we're now going to go under this architecture and we're now going to click on rooms. So these rooms are going to create rooms in this project. So what we are first going to do is we're going to set the limit. So I'm going to change this from this upper limit from DPC to deck. Then I'm going to change this limit offset to 0. Then I'm just going to place a room here. And I'm going to place another room here. And another room here, here, and here. So we have a problem here. There are about 3 distinctive spaces we want to be in this place. We want the stairway here. We also want this waiting area and we want the reception. But this room is selecting this as one space. And the reason why is that we didn't demarcate it because rooms recognize walls as demarcation tools. But there's a way we can tweak it. But before we do that, we will also want to change this type of room tags. So we can click on this room tag, right click and go. Once we right click, we hover around, select all instances in visible view. Then we're going to go over to this properties panel. We're going to click on this drop down and change this to room tag with area. So the area of the spaces is also going to come out. You see the information is giving us about the spaces. So now before we go further, we're now going to click on this room tag and we're going to click on edit family because this room tag is looking too dense and not graphically good. So I'm just going to select this volume first and delete it. I don't need it. I'm going to select this room number, delete it. I don't need it. I'm going to go to views. I'm going to go to visibility graphics. I'm going to go to annotation category. I'm going to click on show annotation categories in this view. Then I'm going to click on OK. So I'm just going to hover around one of these lines, click on tab, select the 4 of them, then click delete. So now I'm going to click on this room name here. I'm going to click on move and I'm just going to move this to by 3.6 meter down. Okay, anyone, you can just visually move it with your visual prowess. Then now I'm just going to click on this particular text here. I'm just going to click on edit type, duplicate, and I'm just going to name this 00 area. So this area text, I want it to be much smaller than this room text. So I'm going to click on OK. I'm going to change the text font to whatever I want, but I'm just going to use Source Sans Pro, and I'm just going to change the text size to 1.3. Then I'm going to change the color from black and select red, maybe this ox blood. Click OK, click on apply, click OK. So you see the text has changed. Then I'm also going to click on this room name, click on edit type, change it to Source Sans Pro. Then I'm just going to change the text size to 1.8 or 2 millimeters. Then I'm just going to click on apply. I'm going to click on OK. So after we have done this, we can still adjust them a bit. Then I'm just going to click on load into project. I'm going to load into this project one, and I'm just going to click on no and override graphics and existing parameter. So the room tags are going to change. So another key thing we forgot to do is we forgot to annotate, we forgot to save this project. So to do that, we're just going to hit Ctrl S and we're going to give it the name we want. So we're just going to open the file location where we want to save it, and we're just going to name this Barbing Saloon. Then I'm just going to click on OK. Okay, so now we have changed this, I've saved this project. We're just going to now go to architecture and we're going to start separating this space here we created so we can create different room spaces even while we're not using walls to demarcate them. So I'm just going to click on this room separator lines. So I'm just going to draw a room separator line here. I'm going to draw another one here. Then it has separated this space. I'm also going to click on this point. So another thing you need to note is that why all these lines are appearing thin like this is because I used a setting called thin lines. So the shortcut is TL. If you click on it, it's going to now show the thickness. You can click on it to off the thickness of the line. So you'll be able to see everything to get key accuracy. So I'm also going to separate this space here. So you can see that if you hover around this room tag now is now only for this space now. So we can now go further and create other rooms. Click on room again and place another room here. Place another room here. Place one here and place one here. Then I can click on escape. So let's start naming this room. So we're going to call this one Saloon. After this, we're going to go here, call this waiting. After this, we're going to now call this receptionist. We're going to call this convenience. After calling this convenience, we're going to now call this stairway. Then we're going to name this male. We're going to call this female. Then we're going to now name this space. We're going to name this cloakroom or changing room. Then we're now going to call this spa or facial treatment, facials. Okay, so now we have named all these spaces. Now we are now going to do some annotation work because when I want to start drafting the entrance on this terrace I talked about. So I'm just going to go to this NGL. I'm going to select these lines here. I'm going to click on copy to clipboard, click on this copy to clipboard, click on paste, align to selected views and set it at the DPC and click OK. So we'll go to DPC, we'll be able to see these lines here. So now I'm going to go to annotate, I'm going to go to detail line, and I'm going to draw a line from this point here up to 1.8, then draw it up to this point here. So now the next thing we're going to now do now is we're now going to be placing doors. Okay, so to place doors is very straightforward. You are going to go to architecture, you are going to click on doors, and you'll be able to, once you select any type of door, let's just select some random Revit doors. So you are going to see you can place it. So if you just click on it, if you want to change the swing, you can click on your space key and it will change the direction of the swing, then you place it. But the problem is I'm not going to be using this default Revit door. I'm going to be bringing in door from the template file. So I'm just going to click on this door and delete it. Then I'm going to go back to this template file. So I'm going back, I'm now going to click on one of the plan views. Specifically, I'm going to go to the ground floor. Okay, sorry, the ground floor presentation. So I'm just going to be selecting the door along with some components I'll need. I'm going to select this wall here. I'm going to hold Control, select this curtain wall as well. I'm also going to select this TV here. I'm going to select this logo chair, select this chair here, hold Control, select this wall here, and select this convenience because this convenience is attached to this wall. So for me to copy it, I must select this one and select it as well. So I'm holding Control to select them. I'm going to select this Viper chair, this console here. I'm also going to select this wall here to be able to get this door, this sliding door, and I'm also going to select this wall here to get this smaller toilet door. I'm going to select this sink too as well. Then I think for now I'm also going to select this one of the components in a hospital, but I'm just going to use it to represent a space. So I'm just going to hold Control and select it. Then I'm just going to go here and click on copy to clipboard. Then I'm going to go to this our project DPC here. Then I'm just going to hit Control V and paste this. Then I'm going to click OK. So after pasting this now, you are going to be wondering how are we going to kind of synergize this whole thing here. We don't need to synergize anything. We're just going to select all of them and delete it. So you'll now be asking yourself, what is the point of copying it? The point of copying it is once you copy something from a Revit project into another Revit project, the things you copied, once you have pasted it in the new Revit project, it automatically saves in the inventory of the Revit project where you pasted it. So even if you delete it, you can still access it whenever you want. Alright, so now we are just going to click on doors, then we're going to click on this drop down. So yeah, you're now going to see the doors I copied from this project. Firstly, you can see this sliding door. It was from the template project. So this D1, D2 and D3 were from the template project. So the D1 is basically a normal door. D2 is doors for toilet. D3 just includes big doors. So let's start with this D2, that is doors for toilet. So convenience is sorry. So I'm just going to place one here. I'm going to click on space, place this one here. So another thing you may have noticed is that we are not seeing the hinges of this door. So to change that, we are going to click on this icon and change it to fine. So we are going to see the door components to details. Then I'm just going to click on this door. I'm going to click on move. So I'm just going to click and move it here. Click on this, go to this icon, click on move. then move it to this point here to flush here. So this is the male and female convenience. So now we have done this, we are also going to now go here. We are going to click on this and we are going to put an opening here. So this convenience is going to be like a transition space. So as we drew this wall here, remember that these are two different room tags, so it's having a conflict. It's asking me whether I should delete rooms. So in this case, I'm going to click OK. That means OK meaning I'm not deleting the rooms. So one room is just going to be redundant. So that is this. In this case of this, that is this stairway. So to solve that, I'm going to use this room separator and I'm going to draw a line from here and just draw another line for here for better demarcation. So after doing this, you can see the thing has gone back to normal. I'm going to select this room tag, select, hold Control, select this one and change it to room tag with area. Then I'm now going to continue placing door. So I'm going to click on door again. I'm now going to be placing door for these facials and I'm going to be placing another door here for this changing room for the barbers. Okay. So now after this now let's create staircase. So remember I said we have a roof deck and in that roof deck we are going to create a staircase leading to it. Okay, to create a staircase is very simple. You are going to go to architecture, you are going to click on stairs. So once you click on stairs, the first thing to do is to set your constraint. So your constraint basically means where is your staircase starting from and where is it going to end. So our staircase is going to start from DPC and we are going to click on it to end in the deck level. Okay, so we are now going to set the parameters, other parameters of the staircase. We are going to set desired number of staircase. So this desired number of staircase is directly proportional to this actual height. So if you have more numbers, the riser height is going to reduce. If you have less numbers, the riser height will increase. You get? So risers are basically the height of the steps. So if there are more risers, the height will reduce. The height required will reduce to climb a certain height. I don't know if you understand. So let's change this desired number to 23 and see whether it will give us 150, which I think is correct. So you see the riser height that is grayed out has automatically changed. Then we're now going to change this thread depth to 300. Then we're going to click on this assembly stairs, click on this drop down and change it to monolithic stairs. We're going to make sure we set these dimensions again 23 and make this 300. Then I'm now going to click on, so there are many ways to draw staircase in Revit. You can use any of these tools, but the best which I recommend is this create sketch tool. So I'm just going to click on it. Then we're going to start from drawing boundaries. So boundaries are like the side of the steps. So I'm just going to draw a line from here to this point, up to this point and back to this point. Then I'm going to click on offset and I'm going to be offsetting let's say 1.2 meter. That is how much wide I want the staircase to be. So I'm going to click on offset here, offset here, offset here. Then I'm going to trim this together. So after trimming this, I'm going to click on riser and I'm going to draw a riser from here and draw another riser from here. So I'm going to click on offset here and I'm going to be offsetting 300 millimeter. So now that I've offsetted 300 millimeter, I'm going to make sure this copy is checked on. So I'm going to offset it here. Then offset this here as well. So you can see that as we're offsetting these risers here, you are going to see it's showing 13 risers created and 10 remaining. So it's just going to be monitoring how much progress you have made in terms of the riser numbers. So I'm just going to copy. So after doing this now, it's showing 5 risers remaining. I'm going to click on riser again and I'm going to draw a line from this center point. Then I'm going to click on copy, copy to here, copy to here. So now I'm not going to click on riser again because it's showing 2 risers remaining. Then I'm just going to draw a line from here. This is a temporal line and just draw a line randomly. So I'm going to use this as a guide reference. Once this triangle is highlighted, it means the middle of this line is now highlighted. So I'm going to draw a line from this middle to this point, then draw another line that joins with this corner. So if you're having difficulty selecting the corner, you can click on tab. It's going to help you select the corner. So I'm click and select this corner. So I'm now going to delete these lines here. So now we have done this, I'm going to click on this riser here, click on mirror and mirror it to this side. So now our staircase is almost complete with our boundary lines and our riser lines made. But what is remaining now is now the stair path. So we're going to click on stair path. We're going to draw a line from here up to this point here, draw another one to this point, then draw another one to this point here. So this is now a complete stair. So I'm going to click on finish. So now the staircase is showing is starting from here and going this way, which I think is fine and I think is okay. So I'm just going to still click on finish. Okay, so now we have created staircase. So there is this issue we have. You can see there is this funny thing that is happening here. These railings are looking too abnormal. So the reason is that in this our template file, there is an error there with the normal railings, that their handrail is big, is using the curved profile. So to change that, I'm just going to click on this. I'm going to click on edit railing type. Then I'm going to scroll down. I'm just going to click on this top rail. I'm going to click on this rectangular and I'm going to change this profile from rail curves. Click on this and change it to square handrail 20 millimeter. Click on apply and click on OK. So after doing this, our stair is ready. So now the next aspect, we are going to be creating floors in Revit. So floors are simple, similar to walls. You just need to go to architecture and you will see floors. So if you click on floors now, you are going to see some default floors. But since we have a template and we have already done some work, we are now going to use the floors from our template. So we can start with this floor main. Okay, so you can also edit floors the same way you can edit walls. You can click on edit type, you can click on edit structure, you can change this thickness. I think the parameters of this floor are good, but I feel by now you should know how to change it. If you want, you can change the material, change the structure. You can even insert new layers to add more layers, but we'll still get on more into that. If you want to insert more layers, an extra layer of maybe a different material, you can do it. But for now, I'm just going to click on delete here to delete that layer. Then I'm going to click OK. I think this floor is okay for now. So I'm just going to click on these lines here and I'm just going to draw a line. So normally in actuality, in real life, this is the proper way to slabs are created. So if they are casting slab, it will be on the external surface of walls. But for visualization purposes, I usually use the internal surface. It doesn't mean this is the right thing to do, but this is just the way I do it, especially when I want to now eventually render it. Okay, so just take note of that and be very cognizant of that. I'm not telling you to be drawing walls from internal surface if you want to be doing working drawings. It's just this is my own workflow and I know how to still counter it and make up for it. So I'm just going to delete this line here and I'm just going to be drawing a line from here to this point here, up to this point here, up to this point, and even extending here too, and extending here and here as well. Then I'm just going to draw it here. Then I'm just going to click on finish. So we have created our floors. So if you click on this 3D icon here, you are going to see the 3D. So you can see what we've done so far. You can see all these spaces here and you can see what we have done. So I'm going to go back to DPC. So now we want to create some entrance steps and a slab for this part, because the reason why I didn't extend this slab to this terrace is because I want to a steps to be there, like one step stepping down. So I'm also going to show you how to create normal entrance steps. I'm going to show you how to create ramps, and I'm now going to also create the entrance step linking this terrace and this saloon. So let's go back to NGL, because this entrance step is going to start from NGL to DPC. Okay, so now let's create the slab here for this point here. So I'm going to click on architecture, I'm going to click on floor. Then instead of using this floor main, I'm going to click on this and I'm going to be click on edit type, duplicate, and I'm now going to be changing this to 00 concrete slab. Then I'm going to click on OK. So I'm going to click on edit type and I'm now going to just change the material of this slab, and I'm just going to be searching for concrete. So after searching for concrete, I'm going to see this concrete lightweight. I think graphically is okay. I'm going to click on apply, click OK, click OK, click OK here. Then I'm now going to click on this box tool here and draw it from this point here up to this point. Then I'm going to put an offset of, let's say, 150 millimeter above the NGL. Then click finish. So after doing this, now let's now create the entrance steps. So I'm now going to go to architecture. I'm going to go to staircase. So instead of using this monolithic, I'm going to click on edit type. I'm going to click on duplicate and I'm going to call the 01 entrance steps. So after doing this, I'm just going to click OK. I'm now going to click on this monolithic run here, click on this 3 dots here. Then I'm going to click on duplicate again and I'm going to call this 00 steps. So after calling these steps, I'm going to click on OK. I'm going to change this from smooth to stepped. Then I'm going to change the structural depth to 450 millimeter. So the monolithic material is still floor slab, and which I think is okay. So I'm going to click OK, apply, OK. Then we're now going to start sketching. So I'm just going to click on this sketch here. Then we're going to draw a line from this point because I want the steps to start from here up to, let's say, 600. I think 600 should do it. Line here. Then I'm now going to draw a riser here. Draw another riser here. Then click on offset and offset this by 300. Then I'm going to draw a stair path. Pick this point here and drag it up to here. Then I'm going to click on finish. So you can see the staircase is going up this way, which is not good. I'm going to click on this flip icon here to make it start from here and go upwards here. Then I'm going to click finish. So you can now see, if you go to 3D, you can now see that the thing created properly. Okay, so now we can go back to this NGL now, and we can now create another single step to link these two spaces. So now I'm going to go to architecture. I'm going to go to steps, these entrance steps. I'm now going to, instead of, because you know we have already put offset on this slab 150 above the NGL. So instead of just doing this as the normal way, I'm going to put that 150 here. So it's going to match this. Then I'm going to now click on sketch. I'm going to draw a riser up to 300. I'm going to draw another one 300 here. Then I'm just going to click on riser and draw one step here. Click on stair path, pick this point here to this point, click finish, click on flip, then click finish again. So if you go to 3D view now, you are going to see this entrance step here. So I can delete this railing. I don't think I need it here. So now we are going to go back to NGL and we're going to create ramps. Okay, so ramps is very similar to staircase. It's just a similar something. So we're going to go to architecture. We're going to see ramp beside staircase. Then we're going to click on edit type. We're going to duplicate and call this entrance ramp because it's not the normal ramp we're going to be using. So after giving this the name entrance ramp, I'm going to click OK. So note that this name is just for identity. It's until you change the parameters it will actually matter. So I'm going to change this shape from thick to solid. Then after changing it from thick to solid, I'm now going to put a ramp material. I'm just going to be using this same concrete. Then I'm going to be now setting this ramp slope ratio. So this ramp slope ratio is like height to length ratio. So the normal standard is for every 1 meter height, the ramp should be at least 12 meter long. So that is the standard that is here. We can always change it if we want. So I can change it to like 8 meter. But let's just go with this 12 and see how it goes. So I'm just going to click on OK. And now I'm just going to click on boundary. And I'm just going to draw a line here. So this, I think our DPC is 450 millimeter. So 450, if 1 meter is to 12, that means 450 should be to about, let's say 5.4 meter or 5.7, I think. And draw another line. Then I'm now going to click on riser and draw one here and draw another one here. Then I'm going to click on finish. So after clicking on finish now, we are going to see the direction is showing down here. So this is not good. It means it's coming down from this point this way. So I'm going to click on this ramp, click on this arrow here, and it's going to change direction. So if you go to 3D view, you are going to see the ramp and it's looking beautiful and nice. Okay, so that's said and done. We have created some basics. Let's go back to DPC and start doing the more facade related stuff. So now we are done with these basics. We are now going to start working on the furnitures and fenestration. Okay, so the reason why I said furniture and fenestration is because you cannot really separate the furnitures and the fenestration per se. You will need to be working with the furnitures. The furnitures will kind of determine how the fenestrations is going to be depending on which side. So in this barbing salon, we are going to need basically a worktop for where they will be styling and cutting hair and all those stuff. So the first thing to do is we are going to open our template file again. Then we're going to be copying some worktops and furnitures from it. So for this, since this is just a floor plan overall, you don't need to be too detailed on the worktop. If you can get to the component, it's still fine. So I'm just going to click on this kitchen worktop. I'm going to also go to first floor. I don't think there's a sink here in this work. So let me just go back to ground floor. Then I'm just going to select this worktop here and click on copy to clipboard. Then I'm just going to go back to DPC of this. Then I'm going to hit Ctrl V to paste it. So now with this worktop here, I'm going to use it to determine where the positions of all cabin seats are going to be. So I'm going to click on this. I'm going to click on edit type. I'm going to also select this, click on edit extrusion. Then I'm going to delete all this profile line first after selecting all of them. So due to an error, I actually skipped in the video how I drafted the casework. Okay, so just as you know, or you should know, this is a casework I copied from the template file. So the extrusion end start is at 0 and the extrusion end is at 750 millimeters. So it has a material to it. So what I did was to just create, even though this video I'm recording it now from the end of the project, but I think I just have to do justice to this part of the video that was skipped due to some error. So I'm going to draw a line from one wall or this edge, then draw a line 600 millimeter deep, then just close it here, as well as I'm going to go to this part too, draw a line up to 600 millimeter. So this cabinet is going to be 600 millimeter deep, and draw another line here. Then I'm just going to click on finish. So this now forms those two caseworks at this edge, or these two worktops where the saloons will be. So I also used a line work to draw a line from this point here. So this line just indicates like a showcase shelf, maybe where they can sell clippers and all. So let's just go back in time, continue from where we stopped. Okay, so I just opened one of the files I've worked on before. So I'm just going to be copying some furnitures from there. So I'm going to click on this, copy this, select this chair here, and I'm also going to select this chair here, this table here, select this as well, and select this chair here. Then I'm going to click copy to clipboard. Then I'm going to go back to this DPC here, and I'm going to hit Ctrl V to paste it. So after pasting this here, I'm just going to click on escape. I'm going to carry this table here. I'm going to carry these chairs here, and I'm going to put one here. So these are basically going to represent our styling area. So I'm going to rotate this to 90 degrees by 90 degrees. So what I did here was, let me hit Ctrl Z and just explain it. I clicked on this, I clicked on move, then I moved this chair to this point. Then I clicked on this chair, I clicked on rotate, then I just clicked on one point first. Once I hover around this rotate, once this rotate tool is on, I'm going to start from, let's say, the horizontal axis here, click on it, then impute 90. That is to show it's going to rotate it by 90 degrees. So I'm just going to copy another like 4 chairs here with the space of 1.2 meter. Then I'm going to copy this one at 1.5 here, then copy another one, 1.5, 1.2. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to look for a hair wash unit. So this hair wash unit is like where people will use shampoos. Then there will now be, the hair wash unit is usually where the dryer. So there will be a seat for the dryer, and there will now be a seat for the hair wash unit. So I'm going to go into Beam Object to see whether I can see Revit components that best suit this. So once I click, I've already searched for it before, so I don't need to type in all the letters. Now I'm just going to click on this and just search for hair wash unit, or let me just say hair wash, and click on enter and see the result is going to have. So we can see some sinks. Let me just search for barber. Okay, I think this is the kind of chair for the. Alright, so we're just going to download it, and we're just going to only click on this Revit file and click on download. So I'm going to be downloading the seat. I doubt if it's a barber seat, but I think it can serve for what we'll be looking for. So let's just see how it looks. Okay, so now our file is downloaded. We're just going to drag in this chair to this. So we're just going to place this here. Then we can delete this tool here. So I can click on this, I can click on edit family. Then once I click on edit family, I can go to floor plans, reference level. Then I can go here and let me see, because I'm looking for those lines, so I'm just going to try and delete those lines that are going around this. So after deleting it, I'm going to hit Ctrl S. I'm going to click on save. Then I'm just going to load it into the project and close it. I'm going to place it in Barbing Saloon. I'm going to click override. Okay, so we have this here. I think this can now represent our shampoo, even though it's not typically what we are. So I'm just going to click on this and delete this here. So I'm just going to adjust this to this point. Then I'm just going to click on copy. Now I'm going to copy this by 1.2. So after doing this now, I can select all these components here. All these chairs here. Okay, before I select it, I'm just going to also go to architecture. I'm going to go to components. I'm going to click on this drop down and I'm going to search for sink. If I don't have sink, I'm going to copy it from one of my projects. Then I'm just going to click on escape. I'm going to click on file. I'm going to open this vocation center and copy a sink from it. So I'm going to click on escape. I'm going to go to this toilet fixture. I'm going to select this wall and select this sink because this sink is hosted to this wall, so I cannot copy it separately. Then I'm going to click on copy to clipboard. Then I'm going to go back to the DPC here and hit Ctrl V. Click on OK. So after doing this now, for example, this chair now we have here with a laptop, we are going to select this here. We are going to click on rotate. Rotate this by 180 degrees. Then I'm just going to drag this to this point here. So I'm now going to click on escape. I'm now going to click on this chair and extend this here. Right, so on the second thought, while placing this furniture here, this is not an actual furniture, this is a field region. So I can just click on this field region because I copied it from a project. I didn't realize this was just a field region, so I'm going to delete this. So these are the actual furnitures here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this table. I'm going to click on copy and I'm going to copy it to this point here. Then I'm just going to click on this, click on edit type, edit profile, then click on this and just click on edit sweep. Click on edit sketch path, then just drag this line here and click finish. Okay, so I'm going to click finish. So after doing this now, I can click on delete here and delete this too. Then I can delete both of this. So now, like I said before, I said I'm going to place a sink here in this washing and drying area. So, and one mistake I made is that I mistakenly placed this the other way around. So I'm going to select both of them. I'm going to click on rotate and rotate it by 180 degrees. Then I'm just going to manually adjust it to about this point. So after doing this now, let me just click on select both of these, adjust it to here. I'm now going to go to architecture. I'm going to go to components. After going to components, I'm just going to click on this drop down. I'm going to search for sink. So once I've searched for the sink, this our sink head will come out. Then I'm just going to place this, make sure this offset from elevation is about 750. Then I'm going to place this here. And okay, so I think here is fine. So what I'm now going to do is I'm going to select this, hold Control, select all of this here, and I'm just going to click on mirror. Then I'm going to make sure I select the middle, then mirror it to this other wing. Okay, so this is basically our saloon now. So I think we have done well. So we are going to start placing some curtain walls, okay, and some windows now. So I'm going to, let me just click on components. Let me look for chair. Let me look for this our Luga. You know, if you remember earlier, I copied some couches, so I'm just going to click on LUG. I think it's called Luga, so I'm going to click on these three Lugas, click on space to rotate it, then place this somewhere here. Okay, so this is basically where the waiting area will be. Then I'm now going to go to door, and I'm going to be placing this D3 double swing door here. Click on space to change the direction, then place this here. So now I'm just going to work on these conveniences a bit. Then I'm just going to click on this wall here. I'm going to make sure the distance between these two inner is 1.2 meter. Then another very important thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a duct for this convenience. So I'm just going to click on architecture. I'm going to click on walls. I'm going to set it from, use this 150mm wall and set the constraint from DPC to deck level. Then I'm just going to create a small duct here and another small one here. After doing this, I'm going to click on one of this wall. I'm going to set the distance from here to be, let me say this 225 is okay. Then here from this side, I'm going to drag this temporal dimension to this point and change this to 150. After doing this, I'm going to do the same here. Drag this temporal dimension, change this to 150. Then I'm going to click on this wall and retract it back to this point. Then select these new walls we drew and make sure the base or constraint is at NGL. Okay, so after doing this now, we can now start placing the furnitures in this, the plumbing fixtures. I'm going to go to component. I'm going to click on this and type WC. Then I'm just going to place this normal WC we copied from the other project. I'm going to click on this drop down. I'm going to click on sink. Then I'm just going to place this sink head here and place this sink head here as well. So I'm going to adjust it in a way that it's not going to be obstructing the door. Then now I'm not going to place a duct here. So if you have used the template file, I think in the template file I created a duct system using curtain wall. So to do that, we're going to go to architecture, click on wall, click on this drop down, then scroll down, and we're going to see this grill panel. Then I'm just going to draw it from here up to this point here. Then I can click on AL on my keyboard, set this, and AL is the shortcut for align. So if I click AL, this thing is going to appear. So I'm going to select where I want to align and select the thing I want to align. Then I'm just going to click on this duct. It's just like a wall. I'm going to set the constraint. Currently it's set at DPC to deck level. So I'm going to change it to lintel level, and I think it's fine. Okay, so now I think we have done a wonderful job. So we are going to start using fenestrations and mainly windows. So to place window in Revit is very simple and straightforward. You are just going to go to architecture. You are going to click on window, and you can set the seal height. If you don't know what seal height is the distance between the bottom of a window and the floor. So currently the normal seal height for normal window is around 900, as you can see here. Then if you place a window, it's going to just place on the wall. But I don't like using this window, so I'm going to delete it. So what I usually do while placing windows, instead of going through the stress of looking for specific window types I want to use, I usually used to use curtain wall and place curtain wall embedded windows. So the advantage of this is that it gives me flexibility to create similar looking curtain walls that represent windows, while I will not need to be searching for different kind of windows. But the disadvantage is, remember, Revit is a BIM software, so if you create a curtain wall, Revit is going to recognize this as a curtain wall. But I still have my ways of working around it in detailing. But in terms of BIM and BIM execution and detailing, I don't think that is the best thing to do. But me, I usually used to use curtain wall embedded curtain walls to serve as windows. Then I'll put curtain wall embedded windows. Okay, so now I'm just going to go to wall now, and I'm going to click on this drop down, and I'm going to be selecting this non-defined curtain wall. So after I've selected it, I'm now going to click on edit type. I'm going to click on duplicate, and I'm just going to call this 01 windows. After I select this windows, I'm going to click on OK and click on OK. So I've named this windows now. Then I'm now going to click on edit type again. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make sure the function is set at exterior. We're going to make sure the automatically embedded is checked on. We're going to make sure this is system panel glazed. If you click on this drop down, you can see other options, but we'll leave it as system panel glazed. The join condition will be non-defined. So this vertical layout, we're going to set it at none. Horizontal layout, none. Then this internal munions, we are just going to set it as main munion. So this main munion, if you have done the project transfer from the template file, you are going to have it too. So I'm just going to click on this main munion, select this again, main munion, change this to main munion, change all of them to main munion. So after doing this, we are good to go. So I'm going to click on apply and click on OK. So now for this saloon, in order not to have interference with this place where they are barbing people's hair, I'm going to put a high level window here. Okay, so by this high level window, I'm just going to set the constraint of this curtain wall now system we want to set. So I'm going to change this top constraint from deck level to this lintel level. So it's going to stop at lintel level, and I'm now going to put the base offset at 1.5 meter. Okay, then once I put the base offset, I'm now going to draw a long window from curtain wall from here to there. So if you notice something, nothing should, and the reason why is because the base offset was too high, 1.5, and we have not yet set the level. You know, I told you that floor plans are horizontal sections, so they have a height where the thing is cutting. Just imagine, if you look at this 3D now, imagine someone getting a knife. You can see the cutting wall here, but imagine someone getting a knife to cut through this building. That is what a floor plan is, like cutting through it from this side here. So the standard height where Revit cuts out is 1.2 meter. If any element you create is above the 1.2 meter, it's not going to be visible, but we can adjust it. If you go back to DPC now, we can go to view range, Under this properties panel, click on edit and change this offset from 1.2 to 1.8 meter. Click on apply and click on OK. So now you are going to now see the cutting wall we created. So if you go to 3D as well, you're also going to see this cutting wall or window cutting wall. But this is just a big long glass and I don't want it to be like that. I think most of us will agree. So what we're going to do, we're going to rotate it this way and we're now going to add some partitions. So to add partitions, you can do it automatically or manually. I purposely didn't do it automatically because I want this freedom and versatility in each cutting wall I'm creating. So I'm going to go to architecture. I'm going to go to this icon called cutting grid. So once I click on cutting grid, I'm just going to go here. You can see it's going to give you a distance already. So you can see this whole cutting panel is 3 meters. So it's giving me 1 meter. So if I can just click on it, once I click on it, it's going to now create a partition. I'm going to go here to click on this again. So now we have the cutting wall system, but remember I told you we are going to be putting cutting wall embedded windows. So if you remember that time I went to the template file, I copied the cutting wall as well. So copying that cutting wall, it also came with cutting wall embedded windows. So if I just click on tab here and select this panel, click on tab again. So let me do it again. Zoom in here. Click on tab till this panel is highlighted blue. You can see the highlight here. Then I'm just going to click on it. Hover around here. Click on tab till the panel is highlighted with blue lines. Click on it. Okay, I made a mistake. I meant to hold Control. So let's go to this first one again. Click on tab. Then hold Control before selecting it to select multiple. Click on it. Then zoom in here. Click on tab. Hold Control and select the third one. So I'm just going to go over here and I'm going to unpin this. Then I'm going to go over to this properties panel. I'm going to click on this drop down and I'm now going to see the cutting wall embedded windows. So I'm just going to select this metal aluminum 50mm thickness. So if you copied the cutting wall from the project file, from the template file, you are going to see it like this. So this is going to automatically save in your Revit file inventory. So I'm just going to change all of them to this. So you can see the cutting wall embedded windows. So let's go back to DPC. So instead of suffering and stressing ourselves and doing the same, you can just click on this, click on copy. You see that versatility I was telling you about when using cutting walls as windows. So I'm just going to click on this point and copy this to 4.2 meter. So after doing this now, I'm just going to select these two windows, hold Control, select these two cutting walls, click on mirror, go over to this center point of this and just mirror it to this side. So while clicking on mirror, let me hit Ctrl Z. If you select like I selected both of them holding Control, if you click on mirror, make sure this copy is checked on. If not, if you mirror it, it's not going to copy it. It's just going to mirror it without copying it to this side. So I'm just going to do it again and pick this point here and just draw a line. So it's going to mirror it to this point. Okay, so now this is all good, but we still need to place some high level windows here and in this toilet as well. So instead of creating new ones, we can select these ones, click on copy this to this point here. Then we can click on this cutting wall and reduce the distance to 1.2 meter. So we can click on delete type and replace panels. Then I can just hover around this. Once I hover around it, I'm going to be able to select this cutting grids. So once I select this, I'm now going to equalize this distance by making this 600 since it's 1.2. Then I can select this here, select this cutting grid and delete this. So everything is going to be balanced. If I go to 3D now and I rotate this to the rear side where this one is, I can just click on tab to select this panel again that is being changed to normal panel, unpin it, click on this drop down and change it to cutting wall embedded windows. So now if I go back to DPC now, I'm just going to click on this and I'm going to click on move and I'm going to move this to this point. I can even decide to increase this to 1.5 meter. Then I'm just going to click on move this here, click on copy, move this and copy this here. Click on copy this here, but this is now fighting with this grill panel, so I'm just going to click on it and drag this to 600mm. Delete elements. So I'm just going to change this dimension to 600. So after doing this, I can select this now and I can just adjust this to this point. So you can see automatically that cutting grill deleted. So if you go to 3D view and look at this one, what you can do now is now to rotate this backwards, then increase this window height by reducing this base offset to 1.2. Then we're going to go back to DPC. Then we're going to click on copy, and we're going to just select this and mirror this to this other wing here. Then we can go here, select this cutting wall here, click on copy and copy this. Okay, copy, click on copy. Instead of selecting that point, select this point here and copy this to this point. Okay, so there's a reason I don't want to touch here for now. I want to use this to create a very nice facade character. If you notice that this place, I just left it empty for now because I want to be doing something a bit complex in this front. So just chill till then. So now we're going to put some cutting walls here, but this place here, we're going to be putting cutting walls and doors here. So it's going to like link to this place. So because of this, I can delete this here. So there will be small provisions here. So we can have this here and a little bit of provision here. So I'm going to go to wall here. I'm going to be using this, changing this base offset to 0. Then the lintel, this is even going to go beyond lintel and going to go to deck level. The only thing is I'm going to put a top offset of -450 to make provisions for drop down beams to support the structure. So I'm now going to draw it from here to this point. I'm going to also draw another one from here to here. Then I can just draw this and extend it to this point, make sure it's extended here. Then I'm going to go to 3D view. Then I'm just going to rotate this to this point here. So now I'm now going to go to some cutting wall system, some cutting grid. I'm going to go to architecture, click on cutting grid. I'm going to place one grid here, place another one here. Then instead of selecting this all segment, I'm going to change this to one segment. So I'm just going to put grids in one part of it. So I'm just going to put this one here and put this one here. Or rather, let me hit Ctrl Z. I think it's better I use all grid segments. Place one here. Place one here. So after doing this now, I'm now going to select these ones closer to this side and put doors here. So I'm going to click on tab, select this cutting panel, unpin it, click on this drop down and change it to cutting wall embedded door. So we only have a single swing cutting wall embedded door here. So we only have a double swing, sorry, but I think I'll prefer a single swing here. So I'm going to click on escape. I'm going to click on file, open our project file again and see if I can copy a single swing cutting wall embedded door. So I'm just going to open it. So after doing this, I'm just going to rotate this. So obviously from here, we can see this cutting wall here with a cutting wall embedded door here. So I'm just going to select this cutting wall. I'm going to click on copy to clipboard. I'm going to click on file. I'm now going to open this our project. Then I'm going to hit Ctrl V to paste this here. Then now I've pasted it, I can delete this now. So I'm going to go to 3D view. I'm going to click on tab on my keyboard. Hover around this, select this panel. Hover around the second panel, click on tab. Hold Control before selecting it, then select it. Then I'm just going to unpin both of them. Click on this drop down and change it to this single glass panel. So if you go to this now, we can now select this munion here. We can delete it, unpin it and delete it. We can do the same for this munion here, unpin it and delete it. Then we'll now go back to DPC here. We're now going to click on this door, click on this to change the swing. So I think it's better off like this. So now you can see we have outdoor access to this outdoor place. So now what we can now do now is we can now add some maybe small few furnitures here. Okay, so for this I'm just going to be adding a dining seater or a lounge seater. So I'm just going to go to, I can even use this chair here, these future class tools. So I'm just going to go to components. I'm going to click on this drop down. I'm going to be looking for any table. So I'm going to be placing a coffee table here. And I'm then going to be using this seat or chair. Then I'm going to be selecting this furniture chair and I'm going to just place one here. I'm going to click on this and mirror this to this other side by selecting the middle here and drawing line here. So after doing this, I can just select these chairs here, all these three components, and click on copy and just copy them here. Let me use 1.2. So after doing this now, I can select this tray here and I can just click on mirror and mirror it to this side. Hold Control, select all of them, click on mirror again, make sure my axis line is well. So I think this is fine. So now we have almost all the furnitures we're looking for. This place has been furnished. So now let's start working on this facade. So I had a concept in mind, and I'm going to show you as we work on this project how we are going to execute this concept. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select this ramp, select this entrance steps. I'm going to click on move, and I'm going to move it by, let me just move it by 600. So I'm going to click on this line, delete all these lines here because we don't need them again. We have already created the floors. Then click on this floor, click on edit type, and drag this, extend this here. Okay, so after doing this now, we're now going to start doing some wall works. So I'm going to go to architecture. I'm going to click on walls. So under these walls, I'm going to select, instead of this cutting wall, I'm going to be selecting 225 wall, the 225 wall I've been using. Then I'm going to set it up to lintel level and remove this offset here, change it to 0. And instead of this wall center line, I'm going to click on this drop down and change it to finish face exterior. So I'm going to pick this point and draw from here up to this point and up to this point. Then I'm going to click on these two walls here, and I'm going to change the cross section from vertical to slanted. So once I've changed this, I'm now going to click on this and change this slanted angle to 45 degrees. Take note of this 45 degrees, we'll use it later. Click on this, change it to 45 degrees. So after this is done, we'll now go to 3D view and see what it's looking like. So as you can see this thing now, I want to create kind of like a cube effect, a slanted cube effect on this facade. So with this now, I'm now going to drag you into roofing now. So roofing in Revit is very simple. So what roofing involves is that you just pick a plane where you want to roof from and draw your roof. So for instance, I want to draw a roof to over this point in this project. So I'm just going to rotate this to the top. It's usually more convenient to draw roofs from floor plans, but you can draw roof from 3D and it's very simple. So I'm going to go to architecture. We're going to go to the roof tab here. I'm just going to click on roof. Okay, so before we click on roof first, let me just click on cancel. You can click on this drop down. There are different ways to roof as well as other roofing tools. There's roof by footprint, roof by extrusion, roof by face. But the most common roof tools people use is roof by footprint. So we're going to be using that. It's very simple. So I'm going to click on roof by footprint. So now we're in 3D. It's going to ask us which level do we want to draw the roof from. So remember that this walls, we drew it to lintel level. So we're going to set this at lintel level and click OK. So before we start sketching anything, we're going to edit this roof sheet. Alright, so we're just going to click on edit type. We're going to click on duplicate, and we're just going to call this 01 main roof. So I'm going to click on OK. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to click on edit on this structure. Then I'm going to change this thickness first to 150 millimeters. Then I'm going to go to this by category, and I'm going to just call this let me say roof white. I think there's a material called roof white I've created before. So I'm just going to click white roof paint, and I'm going to click on OK. Then I'm going to click on insert layer. Then I'm going to add the thickness and call this 10 millimeter. Then I'm going to click on this material, and I'm going to look for roof sheet. So once I see roof sheet, I'm going to click on this. I'm going to make sure I click on use render appearance, click on apply, click on OK, then click on OK. Click on apply. So now we have done this, the level is set, we have created the roof type. We're now going to sketch it. So instead of wasting time, we can use this rectangle tool. We're just going to pick this corner here and pick another of this corner here. So the only thing we'll now need to do is we're now going to click on offset here, because we need some provision, like some small edge out of this wall, so it will not be flushing too much. So I'm just going to click on offset 50. I'm going to uncheck this copy, offset here. Okay, I don't need to offset this side. I'm just going to only offset this front. Then another very important thing is in this roofing system, there's a way, if you draw a roof like this and click on finish, it's going to create something like this. You can see this is not what I want to do. If you rotate this now, you can see how it's looking. It's funny. So we're just going to click on this, click on edit footprint. So the reason why is that why I created like that is that each of these corners, each of these lines have a slope. Each of these lines have a slope. They are going to tilt at that point. So if you want to create, because for this we want to create something like a gable roof. So I'm just going to left click hold, select these two lines here. Then I'm going to go over to this icon, check called define slopes, and I'm going to uncheck it. So the only active slopes are here and here. And remember that when we were slanting this wall, we slanted it at 45 degrees. So to make everything equalize like an inverted cube, we need to also put that 45 degrees here. Then I'm going to click on finish. So it's asking us to save project, which is important, which I'm going to save as well. Then we're just going to save this. So if you rotate this now, you can see what it has formed. So now you will now be wondering, this gap here, what are we going to do? Are we going to click? How are we going to make this wall join with this roof? It's very, very simple. We're just going to select this wall, click on attach to top base, then select this roof, and it's going to attach it. So if you look at this from front, this is just like a cube that someone bent, which is part of my idea from the very start. So I'm also going to select this slanted wall, click on attach base, and attach it to this roof. So it's going to just synergize perfectly. So now we're now going to work on this deck, and we're going to be slabbing this deck here. Then eventually along the line, we're now going to finally roof it. So we're just going to go to this deck level here. Of course, we are not seeing anything in the deck level because we have not created it. So for us to be able to see something, we are going to have to click on this, go to this properties panel, go to this icon side called underlay, the section called underlay, click on this none. So it's going to click on this DPC, then change this none to DPC. So once this is set at DPC, you are going to say the underlay on the orientation to look down, and you are going to be seeing what is happening on the DPC. Okay, so what we are now going to do now is we are going to go to architecture. We are going to click on walls. So we are going to be using this 92254, but we're not going to be running walls. We're just going to be running dwarf walls. So we'll still put our railings on top. So I'm just going to change this from roof level back to deck. Then I'm going to put a top offset of 300 millimeter. So I'm going to set this wall to wall center line. Then I'm just going to pick here as well, pick here as well, pick this point here, and pick this point here. So after doing this now, we're now going to start creating our slab deck. So I'm going to go to architecture. I'm going to go to floor again. Then I'm going to click on this. I'm going to be using this concrete slab. I'm going to make sure this offset is at 0. Then I'm just going to start drafting. So I'm going to pick this point here. I'm going to go to this corner, pick here where the staircase stop, pick here too, pick here, pick here, pick here, pick here. Then I'm just going to trim this. I forgot to pick it well. Then I'm going to click on finish. So now this is done. I'm going to make sure I click do not attach. I'm just going to click do not attach for now. So after doing this now, I'm now going to go to this underlay, click on it, and change it back to none. So now this is what is showing on the deck level. So this is like a roof deck here, where basically for all this, let's say outdoor relaxation. So now I'm also going to click on wall again, and I'm going to draw another dwarf wall here from this point here. Then I'm going to click on move, and I'm just going to click on move and move this here. So now if you go to 3D view, we are going to see what we've done so far. So we have a deck here and we have other stuff. So now I'm going to be copying some things from the ground floor to this deck level, which is going to serve a good function. So I'm going to go back to DPC. I'm going to select this receptionist chair, select these 2 chairs here and this table, then click on copy to clipboard, then click on paste, align to selected levels, then select this deck level and click OK. So the reason why I'm keeping this here is maybe to serve as a survey or something for the top roof area. So we have a joint issue here. You can see there is a problem here with these walls here. So what we can do now is now to start adjusting this wall to fit in. So now I'm just going to click on this wall and I'm going to drag it backwards. So it's going to, I'm now going to click on join element. So what I'm now going to do, I'm going to select this wall here. I'm going to click on copy, normal copy. Then I'm going to pick here and copy this to this point here. So after doing this, I'm just going to select this and try and join this here. So if it doesn't join, fine. If it joins, fine. So we're going to go to 3D view and we're going to adjust it. Okay, so now we have copied this. I can just rotate this 3D here. Then we can simply click on this wall. We can now click on edit profile. Then we're first going to delete everything here. So I'm just going to click on pick line. I'm going to go here, pick this edge here, pick this edge as well, pick this edge here. Then I'm going to rotate this here and try, if I can't see this edge I'm seeing here, I'm just going to go over to this icon here and change it to wireframe. So I'm just going to zoom in here and pick this edge here. Then so what I'm now going to do is I'm now going to click on line work. I'm still going to draw a line here, creating like an opening, so this place could still be open even while it's still retaining this should I call it hexagonal shape or tilted square. So I'm going to draw a line from here up to this point here and just join this line here. Then I'm just going to click on trim and trim all these unjointed elements here. So after doing this, I'm going to click on offset. I'm going to be offsetting 450 millimeter. I'm going to make sure this copy is unchecked, then offset this here, then click finish. Okay, so I'm going to click on continue, Ctrl Z. I'm going to click on trim and I'm going to trim this line here and click finish. Now I'm going to click on this and change it back to shaded. So if you look at this now, you can see how this is looking, and I think it's not looking bad. So I think this is good. So now if you rotate it back to this approach view now, we can now select this here and just click on edit profile, then just try and synergize everything together. Pick here, then click on trim this here, trim this, okay, trim this to this, then delete this line here. Then I'm just going to click on finish. I'm just going to click on okay. This one is saying I should delete rooms, so I don't think any room needs to be deleted now. So I'm going to go back to DPC now, and you can see how the thing joined here. I don't think the joinery is bad. Yeah, it could be a bit better, but I think this is okay for now. Okay, so now what we're now going to do is since this has changed the space a bit, I'm just going to click on room separator, and I'm just going to create a room separator here, separating this waiting area, or separating this. Click on this room separator in this reception, click on tab, select it, then extend it here. So this whole place becomes a waiting. So now this is done like this. We can click on this receptionist stand. I think it's taking too much space. Then we can just select this here and just adjust this and click on move and move this by, let's say, 1.5. I can delete these pieces here. I don't need it. Then I'm just going to click on this and drag this to this point. Okay, so I think this is better now. So now what we're now going to do is we're now going to create a curtain wall panel for this entrance. Okay, so before creating this curtain wall panel, we'll need to do some facade elements here. So if you go to 3D view now, we can see this is just an empty box. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm now going to use this to introduce you to the model in place interface. So I'm going to click on components. Instead of clicking on place component, I'm going to click on this model in place. Remember, I clicked on this drop down icon. I clicked on model in place. So yeah, I'm going to select walls because what I want to create is a wall element on top of this. So I'm just going to click on wall here and click on OK. So if you're using model in place to create walls, it's going to have the properties of a wall. So take note of that. So after doing this, I'm now going to click on extrusion. Extrusion basically means to draw a shape and extrude it. So it's that straightforward. So I'm going to click on set work plane. I'm going to be setting pick work plane. Then I'm just going to pick this surface here. So now after picking this surface, I'm going to rotate this to the front by just clicking on this face here. Then I'm going to click on pick line 2. I'm going to pick here, and pick here. Also pick here too. Then I'm going to click on offset. This time I'm going to be making sure I check this copy, and I'm going to offset 900 millimeter from here, here, and here. I'm also going to click on pick line 2, and I'm going to pick here and here. So now I'm going to do some trimming. I'm going to click on trim. I'm going to trim here to here, trim here to here, trim here to here. Click on pick line 2, pick here, and click on trim this point to this point, and click on trim this point to this point. Then I'm now going to set the extrusion end at 150. Then I'm going to change the material. I'm going to be using a dark. I'm just going to select this dark wall paint, and I'm going to click on OK. Then I'm going to click on finish. So we're not yet done here. We're still going to do some other extrusion work here because I want to create something like a small panel here. Okay, so now I'm just going to rotate this here. I'm going to click on create again. I'm going to click on extrusion, and I'm going to click on OK. This face is already set, so I don't need to set this face again. So I'm going to draw a line from here. So this line is going to be for the signage of the saloon. So this line is going to go up to 1.2. and go to this point here. I'm going to draw a line to this point here, then draw another line here. Then complete the line here. So I'm just going to select this here and delete this. So after doing this now, I'm just going to click on trim and I'm just going to trim this here. So I'm going to set this extrusion at let me just set it at 75. And I'm going to change the material to signage. Let me just use signage base. Let me check if I have any signage material here. So I don't have, so I'm going to create one. I'm just going to click on this. Make sure I click to use render appearance. I'm going to right click, duplicate, and I'm going to call this 01 signage base. So after calling it this name, I'm going to click on this icon. I'm going to go to appearance. Then I'm going to click on wall paint or metal. So I'm just going to look for a white metal. I'm going to put this aluminum cast, go to graphics and click on apply and click OK. Then I'm just going to click on finish now. So after doing this now, I think what is remaining is just one final element, or rather a few final elements. So now I'm going to try and create a kind of trellis panel here. So I think the trellis panel will run like from here up to this point here. Maybe up to this point here. Yeah. So what I'm now going to do is I'm going to click on create. I'm now going to click on sweep. Then I'm now going to click sweep. Is basically you draw the section profile of an object, then you draw a path where it's going to sweep through. So we're going to first start by drawing this part. We're going to click on sketch path. We're going to click on set, pick plane. Then we're just going to pick this surface plane here. If you can't select it, we'll click on escape first, rotate this here, click on set, pick work plane, then select this plane here. Then we're just going to change this back to front. Then we're going to draw the part where we want our panel to sweep through. So after doing this now, we're now going to click on finish. Then we're now going to draw the profile we want to sweep. So I'm going to click on select profile, edit profile. Then I'm just going to rotate this. I'm going to click on cancel, close here. I'm going to rotate this because we drew a part here. So in order to draw a section of this profile, we need to rotate this to like a perpendicular part. That is by changing this to this side here. Then I'm now going to start drawing a profile, trellis profile. So I'm going to click on this line work. I'm going to draw a line from here up to 50. I'm going to extend the line to 75 and end it here. Then I'm going to click on offset and offset it by 5 mm. Make sure this copy is checked on. Offset, offset, offset here. Then I'm going to draw another line here up to 50 or 55 is okay. Then I'm going to draw this line, click on offset again, offset this 5 mm. Then I'm just going to draw this line here and I'm going to just trim this. So what I'm now going to do now is I'm going to click on this line and drag it back to 45. Then I'm just going to click on this line and drag it to this point here. You can see what I'm trying to do. Then I'm going to click on this fillet arc tool. Then I'm just going to use it to bevel this edge here to 5 mm. Click on this, select this, click on this arc here, change it to 5 mm. Click here, change it to 5. So after you have done this sketching, you're just going to left click from here and hold, select all this profile, then click on copy, pick here and pick to this point. You can see why I set the thing the way I set it. You can see how the thing is joining perfectly. So instead of doing it one by one, you can select this tool now, click on copy, pick this point here to this point. So like that, we'll select 4 of them, click on copy, pick this point here to this point. Like that, 8 of them, select everything. Okay, not like that, just select to this point here, click on copy, pick here and pick here. Then we can just click on escape, left click, select this. Make sure that it's only the sketch lines that are selected. If you select this reference line, it's not going to copy. So click on copy, copy this point here, paste this here, and we can paste this here. So if you rotate this here, I'm just going to use this to see how long this goes. So I think it's almost there. So let's just click on this and rotate it back to this view. Then we can just select one more, hold Control, select this, click on copy, and copy this here. Then in the end of this, we can just click on this and just close this loop here. Then click on this and trim here. So after doing this, we're going to do the same here. We're just going to draw a line here and trim this end. So after setting this now, we're now going to set the material. We're going to click on material. I'm just going to click on wood. Let me see if I have any wooden trellis materials. So I'm just going to click on this. I'm just going to click on this and I'm going to right click, duplicate, and I'm just going to call this wooden trellis. Then I'm just going to click on OK. Then I'm going to click on finish. So if you rotate this now to this front here, you are going to see what we did here. But the truth is that I don't want this thing to extend like this. Let me rotate this to the front. I don't want this thing to go completely like this. So what I'm going to now use now, I'm going to be using the void extrusion. So void forms are like the opposite of this model in place tools. Like in model in place, you click on create, you have extrusion, blend, revolve, sweep, swept, blend. So you also have the void forms, which is like doing the same thing all of them are doing. The only thing is instead of creating, they are cutting through. So let's start with void forms where I use void extrusion. So I want to perforate a shape here and cut it to just form something nice. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click on create void extrusion. Okay, I'm already in void extrusion. Then I'm going to click on set. I'm going to click on pick work plane. I'm going to be picking this work plane of this extrusion here. So I'm just going to click on pick line 2. I'm going to pick here and I'm going to pick here as well. I'm also going to pick here. Then I'm going to trim this straight together. So after doing this now, I'm going to click on offset. I'm going to be offsetting 1.2 here. From this side, click on check copy, offset this by 1.2. So this is looking balanced, but I still need to offset it again. Let me see how it's going to look. Okay, so I think offsetting it like this will just do the trick. So after doing this now, I'm now going to click on this and just extend this to this point here, then trim this. So I'm now going to set the depth of this void extrusion. I can even extend this here to make sure it cuts through this one here. And I can just set it at 300. Then I'm going to click finish. So now the void extrusion, it has automatically cut the one we wanted to cut. So it didn't only cut this one, it also cut this one as well. So to solve this, we're just going to go over to this cut, click on this drop down, click on this uncut geometry. Then select this void form here and select this one we don't want it to cut through, and it's going to uncut it. Then I'm going to click on escape and I'm going to click on finish model. So you can see what we've done. Not bad. So now we forgot one important thing. So sorry about that. So we forgot the signage we want to put. So this signage, I want it to be conceptual since it's a barber shop. So I'm going to click on this model in place. I'm going to click on edit model in place. Then I'm going to rotate this to this front. So now I'm going to click on create and I'm going to be using extrusion. I'm going to click on set. I'm going to click on pick work plane and I'm just going to set the work plane here. So now for this barbing saloon, I want the to just give a conceptual logo. So I'm just going to be making it 50mm thick and I'm going to set the material as black. So I'm just going to look for any material, click on it, right click, duplicate, and call this 00 or 01 signage black. After calling it signage black, I'm going to click on this icon. I'm going to go to appearance and I'm now going to click on wall paint and I'm just going to give it this black color. Click on our graphics, make sure you click on foreground, change this to none. Okay, apply, okay. Then I'm now going to sketch a hair. So in order to sketch non-conventional shape, I usually like using this start end radius arc tool. Then I'm going to pick this point, pick another point here and just bend it slightly. Pick this point here, bend this, pick this point here, bend this, pick this point here. So I'm trying to draw someone's hair basically. Pick here, bend this. pick another point here, bend this here. Pick another one here, bend this here. Pick one here, bend this here. Ctrl Z. Pick another one, join it, pick another point here. Pick here. Pick here. Pick here. Pick here too. Pick here. Pick here. Pick here too. I doubt if this thing will be too accurate, but now this is when your fine art skills will now come into play. Lucky for me, I have a small flair for artworks. So I'm just going to pick here. And pick here something like this. I think it's fine. Then even though this is not accurate, but regardless, I think it's nice. Then I'm going to click on this normal straight line tool, and I'm going to try and draw the eyebrows. Draw another one here. Draw another one here. Pick a line here. Pick another line here. Pick a line here to this point. Pick another line here. Then I'm going to now put a mustache. So I'm just going to put one here. I'm going to file from here, draw an arc line here. Click escape. Going to draw a line send around this point. Use my visual prowess. Get to this point. Get here. Pick here. Pick here. And pick here. So now I've drawn this, I can just select this here. I can click on mirror, select the center point here. Mirror and draw axis, pick from here and just mirror it to this point. Okay, so obviously this is too big, so I can click on delete. I can delete this here. Draw this back here. Click on this, draw this back here. Click on this line. And try and get a center point here. Then select this. Select this point, then mirror this. So after doing this now, I think this is fine for a saloon. Okay. Then I think I'll just click on finish. So you can see how this is looking. I think this is nice. This is a nice signage for a saloon. This is looking good. Then I'm going to click on finish. So now we have our signage. We can now put our curtain wall and put our entrance door here. So I'm going to go back to DPC. I'm going to go here and I'm going to go to architecture, wall. I'm going to click on this drop down and I'm going to be drawing a normal, using this normal Windows curtain wall. Then I'm going to draw from this point to this point basically. So what I drew now doesn't mean too much. So I'm going to click on this. I'm going to go to 3D view. Click on this curtain wall and click on edit profile. Then I'm just going to follow this profile here. Click on pick line, pick here. Pick here too. Pick here. Pick here too. Then I'm just going to trim this. Then I can click on tab here and delete these lines here. So I'm just going to click on finish. Delete element. So now we have our full glazing here. So what we can now do now is to click on this cutting grid and start drawing some cutting grid panels. We can draw this horizontal one first. Okay, so I'm going to draw one here. I'm going to click on escape, draw another vertical one here. I'm going to draw another one here, another one here. So don't mind, even if you don't get the dimensions at first, we can still always work on the dimensions later. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to click on tab till we select the grid line here, cutting grids. Then I'm going to select this. So I'm just going to try and move this to the center. So what I can do now is I can go to one of these elevations. Let me just go to south elevation and see. Then I'm just going to click on annotate and I'm going to click on detail line. So I'm going to draw a line from this exact point here and I'm going to draw it up here. So after drawing this line, I'm going to click on tab, select this cutting grid, and drag this till it meets this line. Or I can click on this munion, unpin it, and delete this. Then I'm just going to click on align AL, select this cutting, this line here, and now select this cutting grid, so it's going to align. So after this has aligned, I can now select, go to architecture, go to munions again, set this main munion, and just click on grid line and replace it back, which is simple. Okay, so after this center one has been placed at the center, we can now use this center one as a reference to put the other grid. So for instance, I'm going to click on tab here, select this one, and I'm going to set this distance here at, let me use 1 meter. I'm going to click on tab here, do the same, change this to 1 meter. I'm going to go here, click on tab, click on this, do the same here, change this to 1 meter. I'm going to click on tab, click on this, change this to 1 meter. So after doing this now, we are now going to create a center door here, but unfortunately you can see we have this panel, this munion here, so we can still change that. We can click on tab, select this. Normally people will be like, if you delete this now, it's going to delete these both ones. Like for example, if you click delete, it's going to delete both of them. Let me hit Ctrl Z. So what we are going to do now is I'm just going to click on tab, select this, go to add or remove segment, then just click on the side you want to remove and click escape. Then it's going to remove it. So now this center panel here, where we want a cutting wall embedded door to be, we can click on tab. Once we've selected the panel, we can unpin it here, or we can unpin it here, anyone. Click on unpin, click on this drop down and select a double swing glass door, which is looking beautiful. So if you go back to this south, this DPC now, you are going to see this door here. So what we can still do now is to adjust this receptionist, select them, then just click on move and move this to this point here, and I think it's wonderful. Okay, so now we're now going to start working on the other sides of the facade, but first let's go to this deck level and do some things. So you know the staircase is coming down from here, so we need a dwarf wall here and also some railings here, so it will not, people will not follow. So I'm going to go to architecture, wall, then I'm going to click on this drop down. I'm going to be selecting this main 225 wall. I'm going to set it at deck to deck level. Then I'm going to be leaving this top offset as 300. I'm going to put a base offset at 450. The reason why I'm putting this base offset is this side is suspended, so we need provisions for beams. So I'm going to change this wall center line to finish face exterior. Then I'm going to draw from here. If it didn't work, I'm going to click on this, change it to finish face interior instead. Draw from this point here and attach it here. So after doing this now, we're now going to draw railings. So I'm going to be drawing some glazed railings here. So I'm going to go to architecture. I'm going to go to railings. So if you click on this drop down, we will see this minimalist railing because it came with the template file. So you see why the template file is very important. So we can just click on this box tool here. We can pick this point here and pick up to this point. Make sure the offset is 300 because of the dwarf walls. Then click finish. Then if you go to 3D view, you are going to see the railings on top. Then we can go back to this deck level again. We can go to architecture, we can go to railing again. You can now click on this normal pick line here, pick this point here, pick this point here, and draw another line to this point. Then click finish. So now I want to be placing some dining tables here, since this is a recreation area. So I don't know if I have some here, so I'm going to open the template file and see whether I can copy some. So I'm just going to open it. Then I think we have a good dining here. So I can click on this, click on copy to clipboard, then click on this DPC tab. Okay, this is the another project. Click on file, open this our Barbing Saloon. Then go to this deck level and hit Ctrl V to paste this dining. So after doing this now, we can just arrange it here. We can even click on array. So this array basically means array 2. It basically means to copy many things in a line. So we are going to make sure this is at linear. We are going to make sure this is moved to second. So what this move to second means is that I'm going to click on this, copy this to a second position. Then I'm now going to set how many numbers I want it to be. So for example, let me hit Ctrl Z. I clicked on this, clicked on array, clicked on this point and copied it with the distance of, let's say, 1.6 meter. then clicked on it again, left click, then it's now going to give me the option to choose the number, which I'm going to set as 8. Then it's going to replicate it as 8. So after doing this, I can just select all of this. I can click on copy, pick this point here, copy this by 1.8 by another 1.8. Then I can just select one line here and just break one line here just for division sake. Then if I go to 3D view, we are going to see what it's looking like here. Okay, to be honest, it's looking tight, but okay, let me see what I can do. Let me delete this here, delete this here, delete here, delete here. Okay, Ctrl Z, delete here, delete this. Okay, so I think it's more specially placed like this. Okay, so this is fine. So now let's start working on the main facade of this side here. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to click on this wall and we're going to edit it. Because this wall, as it's looking bland like this, I want to create like a very nice series of facade panels that is going to not only shade here, but also make here look ornamentally very beautiful. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on Edit Profile. Then I'm going to draw a line from here. I'm going to check the distance between here and here. This 3,450 millimeters. So I'm also going to put that same distance here, 3,450. Then I'm going to click on this Start End Arc Radius tool. Then I'm going to draw it up to this point here. And I'm going to arc it perfectly since the two distances are the same. Then I'm going to click on Trim here, and Trim here. Then I'm going to click on Finish. So I'm going to literally do the same thing for this second wall here. Click on this second wall, this parallel wall at this rear side. Then I'm going to click on Edit Profile. Then I'm going to rotate this to the front. Then I'm just going to click on Pick Line tool. I'm going to pick here. I'm going to draw another line up to this point here. Then I'm just going to trim here. Okay, so at first glance, this thing is obviously looking weird. So I just noticed some issues here. So I'm going to just rectify it. So what I can do is to right click, select all instances in visible view. Also hold Ctrl and select all these chairs here because I mistakenly placed them on DPC. Why this outdoor terrace is lower than DPC. Then I'm going to just set it at -450 or -300 from the DPC, which is going to now place it very well here. So after doing this now, we're now going to do some model in place. So I'm just going to go to Architecture, Component, Model in Place. I'm going to click on Casework this time and click on Casework 3. Then I'm just going to be using the Extrusion tool. I'm going to click on Set, Pick Plane. Then I'm going to pick here. So I'm going to draw a line to this point here. I'm going to click on Pick Plane here, pick this plane here. Then I'm going to draw another line to this point here. Then I'm just going to click on Pick Line tool, pick here, pick here. Then I'm going to just click on Trim and trim this here and trim this here. So I'm now going to click on Offset and I'm going to be offsetting 150. Make sure this copy is checked on. Going to offset this here, offset this here, offset this here. Then I'm just going to click on Trim and I'm going to trim this here, trim this here. So now what I'm now going to do, I'm going to trim this here as well. I'm going to set this extrusion end to 600 millimeters and I'm going to be giving it a material. I'm going to be looking for a material I used to call white plaster. So after giving it, I'm going to select this white plaster material, click OK. Then I'm going to click on Finish. So I'm going to do some things because in as much as there are panels here, I want air to be flowing in and out of this stuff. So I'm going to use void extrusion to cut open this top part. So I'm going to rotate this to this top. I'm going to click on Create. I'm going to click on this drop down, Void Forms, Void Extrusion. Then I'm going to click on Set, Pick Plane, and I'm just going to pick the top of this. That is why I picked was the top of this here. So I'm going to click on Set, Pick Plane, and set the top of this. Then I'm going to rotate this to this top. I'm going to click on this box tool and I'm going to draw a point from here up until, let's say, this point here. Then I'm now going to set this depth here, this distance between this and this, to be 150. Then I'm just going to click on finish. So I'm going to set this void extrusion depth to be 4 meters. So it's going to cut through all the way. Then if you rotate this like this, you're now going to see this space here that is given under. The reason why I did this is that I want air to be flowing from this top to bottom side. So I'm going to click on finish. So you may think this is the thing I want to do on the facade, but no, this is more like a provision. So let's get to the main stuff. Alright, so we are going to be creating a cutting wall system, but this cutting wall system is not going to be like this usual one. It's going to be a bit unique. So we are going to be using it to create some distinctive panels that is going to serve as a shading device here. So the first thing we are going to do is we are going to click on File. Under File, we are going to click on New. Under New, we are going to click on Family. So now we are going to be looking for cutting wall, generic cutting wall panels. So I think we are just going to look for, okay, so the first thing we're going to, instead of English Imperial, we're going to click on this icon to go back. Then we are going to be selecting the English metric. So for people that work with the metric system, then I'm just going to scroll down and I'm going to, so we're going to be setting this metric cutting wall panel. Then we're just going to click OK. So after selecting this, okay, and once we have opened this now, we are going to be creating a sun shading panel, a kind of unique sun shading panel. So we are going to click on this exterior view. So in this exterior view now, we are now going to click on this reference plane up here. We are going to check the size. Then we are just going to reduce this to 900 millimeter. So after doing this, we are going to click on one of these reference planes and we are going to change this to 450 millimeter. Okay, so these reference planes are actually changed to this center one and they're actually equal. So it's something that once you change one of these, is automatically the other one is going to also reduce to. So 450 plus 450 is 900 millimeters. So now we have this in this exterior elevation plane. We're now going to go to create. We're going to go to sweep. We're going to click on sketch path. Okay, let's close this for now. So what we're going to do now, we are going to go back to this reference level here. So now we are going to be using this reference plane here as where we are going to be sketching our profile. So we're going to go to create, we're going to go to sweep, we're going to go to sketch path, then we're going to click on set and we're going to click pick work plane and we're just going to click on this reference plane here. Then we're going to open this elevation exterior and we're going to click on open view. So once we have done this, we're now going to draw a 4 lines here at this peripherals of this elevation of this reference plane. Then what we're now going to do, you need to follow this carefully in order not to make a mistake. We're going to click on AL, which is the shortcut for our line. Select this reference plane here, select this line and lock it in place. Also click on this, select this here, select this, lock it in place. Also select this one here, select this here, lock it in place. Then we're going to select this reference plane here, select this and lock it in place. So after we have done this now, we're just going to click on this and we're going to click on finish. Then we're going to go back to this reference level, that is like the floor plan, and we're going to click on this select profile and we're now going to click on select profile by sketch. Then okay, I think we are going to start editing the profile. So if I go to 3D view now, let me just confirm what I want to do. I'm going to click on this. I'm going to click on sketch path, click on finish, click on this select profile. Then I'm just going to click on edit profile. Okay, so sometimes I think it was hanging that time. Then we're going to go back to this reference level. If you want to see things closely, we'll click on one of these lines too. You can click on TL to turn off these thick lines. Then we're just going to sketch from this point inward. So we're going to draw a line to this center here. And we're going to draw another line offsetting, I think, 75 millimeter. Click on enter. Then I'm just going to pick up to half of this point here and just draw another line to this. Then draw another line slanting here. So now what I need, I can now delete these 2 lines here because I don't need them for now. Then I'm just going to click on offset and I'm going to be offsetting 5 millimeters. Click on offset. Then I'm going to click on trim and I'm just going to trim this here and trim this here. trim this line and trim this line. So after doing this now, I'm just going to click on this material, click on assign a new material to it. Then I'm going to change this material to, I'm going to right click on one of these and call this material 01 silver plate. Then I'm just going to click on this icon to select a new material. Then I'm going to click on appearance and I'm going to click on metal. Then I can even click on metallic paint if I want. Then I'm just going to look for this flaked slate. I think this one serves. Then go to graphics, make sure I select this use render appearance, click on apply and click on OK. Then click on finish. So if you go to 3D view now, we are going to see what we've done now. So we can just click on this, change this to fine, then click on this visual style and change it to shaded. So we'll be seeing the color of what we're doing. So now the part that is remaining now is this panel here. So another thing we're going to do now is we're also going to click on this panel here. We're going to click on edit sweep. We're just going to do a little bit of touch. We're going to click on select profile and we're going to click on edit profile. Then we're going to rotate this to this top view now, or we can even go to the reference plan, anyone that you are more comfortable with. So let me just go to this reference plan. Then so what I want to do is I want to create a surface in which I can just pick a plane. So I'm just going to draw a line offsetting from here up to 10 millimeters and up to this point here. Then join this here. Then delete this line here. Then click on finish. Okay, so we have this here. So if you go to 3D view now and rotate this to this front, we are going to see how this is looking, and we have a face where we can pick our surface. Now I'm going to click on create again. I'm now going to click on sweep. Okay, then I'm going to click on sketch path. I'm going to click on set. I'm now going to click on pick plane. Then I'm just going to pick this plane here. So for this, I can go back to this reference plane. Okay, sorry, I'll go back to this 3D view. Then I'm just going to pick this part here. I'm going to be picking these edges. So after picking these edges, I'm going to rotate this to this front. So what I'm now going to do now is, I'm just going to rotate this to this side. I'm going to click on AL on my keyboard. Then I'm going to select this face here. Select this line here and lock it in place. Rotate this upwards too. Select this face. I can change this visual style to, let me use consistent colors. So you are going to be seeing exactly what I'm doing. So I'm going to click on AL again. That is align. Select this face here and select this line here. Then lock it in place. So remember that this profile we created is already locked to those reference planes. So it's important to follow it like this. So if the thing changes size, it's going to adapt. Okay, so I'm going to select this face here, select this line, lock it in place. Then I'm going to rotate this here. Select this one here, select this line and lock it in place. So after doing this now, I'm going to click on escape. I'm going to now go back to this reference plane and I'm going to click on finish. Then I'm going to click on select profile and I'm going to click on edit profile. Then I'm now going to draw another line from here to this point here, and I'm going to draw it up to 75 millimeter again. Then I'm going to draw the line to this point. So now I'm just going to give a little offset. I'm going to be offsetting. So for this, instead of making it up to 75, I'm going to create kind of a little bit of distortion. So I'm just going to make it 50 millimeters instead. Then draw a line here. So I'm going to click on offset and I'm going to uncheck this copy and offset this 5 millimeter from this center. But now I'm going to check back this copy and offset from this point. Then I'm going to trim this here. So after doing this now, I'm going to click on this material. I'm not going to give it this same silver plate. I'm going to right click, duplicate, and I'm going to give this one frosted glass. Then I'm just going to click on this icon. I'm going to click on appearance. I'm going to click on glass. Then I'm just going to be looking for a nice white frosted glass. So I'm seeing some frosted, but I'm looking for, okay, so I'm just going to click on this frosted light. Now I'm going to click on graphics. Make sure I use this use render appearance. And I'm going to click on, I can click on appearance and increase the roughness. So if I want it to be more opaque, click on apply and I'm going to click on OK. Then I'm going to click on finish. Okay. Okay, so apparently my system wasn't even charging, so let me just set it up. Okay, so now we have done this. Now we are just going to go back to 3D view, and we're going to see this frosted glass panel. So what we're now going to do, we're going to hit Ctrl S to save this. Then we're going to save it in the same folder where we kept the Saloon file, and we're going to call this transparent panel 0001 transparent. So after giving it this name, I'm just going to click on save. So what I'm now going to do is I'm going to click on this panel now, and I'm going to click on this material. I'm going to right click, duplicate, and I'm going to call this 01 brass plated or bronze plated panel. So I'm just going to click on this icon here. I'm going to go to appearance. I'm going to go to metal or metallic paint. Then I'm just going to select this glossy sienna. Then I'm going to click on graphics, make sure I use render appearance, click on apply, click on OK. Then I'm going to click on file. I'm now going to click on save as family. Then I'm going to now call this 002 brass panel or bronze panel. So after doing this, I'm just going to click on save. Then we are done with creating these panels. Okay, so I hope you are able to follow it very well. So we're now going to click on load into project. Then after loading this into project, we're also going to open our file location and load in the other brass panels, the transparent panel. So I'm just going to right click, open file location. Then I'm just going to drag it and open it in Revit. So after opening it now, I'm just going to click on load into project, and it's going to load into the project. So now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to draw a cutting wall. So this cutting wall is going to be along this line. The only thing is I'm going to go to annotate, click on detail line. Then I'm just going to draw a line from this point to about 75 millimeter. So this line is going to basically be my reference line. So I'll just draw it up to this point. So I'm going to go to architecture. I'm going to click on walls. I'm going to click on this drop down, and I'm going to go to this non-defined cutting wall. Then I'm just going to change this parameter, reset this offset to 0, change the top constraint to ceiling lintel level, change this to 0. Then I'm going to click on edit type. I'm going to click on duplicate, and I'm going to call this 00 sun shading device. So after giving it this name, I'm going to click on OK. So I'm just going to make sure this is set as exterior. Make sure this is automatically embedded. Click on this cutting panel and change it to, once we scroll up, we're going to see these our panels we created. This transparent panel. We're going to set it at transparent panel. Then the joint condition non-defined. We're going to set the vertical layout to fixed distance. So remember the size of that reference planes we were setting in that panel when we were creating the panels is 900 millimeter. So it's important we don't forget it. So we're also going to do the same for this fixed distance, 900 millimeter. Then we're now going to change this munion type. We're going to leave the munion as none. Then I'm just going to click on OK. So after doing this now, I'm just going to make sure I set these vertical grid angles to be 45 degrees. Then set this horizontal to be 45 degrees. So after doing this now, I think we can now draw our cutting wall from this point here to this point. So it's going to say some panels cannot be enjoyed. So I'm going to click on delete type and replace some of these panels. Then I'm just going to click on this cutting wall, and I'm going to click on this zigzag icon to change direction. So if you go to 3D view, we're going to see something like this. So this is very incomplete, but let's see how we can work with this. So I'm just going to click on this here, and I'm just going to click on adjust some of these parameters. So what I'm now going to do is I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to change this from NGL to DPC. Then I'm going to click on this and change this to deck, or let me just say deck level. So I'm going to click on delete type. So the issue with this panel, the main issue we have with these panels is that the size of this thing is kind of too thick in a way. So these panels are not really adaptable. Okay, so what I'm now going to do now is I'm just going to click on this cutting wall. I'm going to click on this drop down, change it back to non-defined, click on OK. Then after I do this, I'm just going to rotate this to this approach here. Then I'm just going to click on edit profile. Then I'm just going to try and adapt it to this shape here. So I'm going to remove the constraint. I'm going to do the same here. Remove the constraint. Then I'm just going to click on this and pick here. I'm also going to pick here, pick here, pick here. Then I'm just going to click on trim, and I'm going to trim this here and trim this here. So I'm going to trim this here. So these are some of the limitations you can get while working with cutting wall panels, but it's all fine and good. So after we have edited this to fit in this shape, what we are now going to do is we're going to click on tab, select this panel and edit family. So we're going to adjust some parameters with this panel. We're going to change this to shaded to be seeing what we are doing. So what we're first going to do, we're going to click on this. We're going to click on edit sweep. Then we're going to just adjust this sweep. So we're going to go to this, click on this, edit profile. Then we're going to just be reducing the offset of this. And we're going to click on this and reduce the dimension from this point. So I'm going to draw a line here up to 150 millimeter. And I'm going to stop it here. So what this basically means is now I'm just going to select these two lines and I'm just going to manually adjust this. Click on move. Okay, let me hit Ctrl Z first. I'm going to select this, click on move, and move this up to this point here. So after moving this up to this point, I'm just going to drag this line here to this point here. Click on this second line and drag it to this point here. Then I'm just going to select this. Okay, let me delete this line first. So instead of making this line stop here, I'm just going to draw another line here, 10 millimeters. Draw another line here, 10 millimeters. Then, okay, let me just draw another line to join this just to make sure there's accuracy here. Then I'm going to click on this line and join it to this point here. Click on tab if it's too close. Click on this, try and join it here. Then I can delete this line here, then trim this. So after doing this, I'm going to delete these two lines. Then I'm going to click on finish. So you can see that if you go to this 3D, because we locked this to this point, this side have extended. So what we're now going to do, we're going to click on this and we're going to click on delete. So the reason why I'm deleting this now is because if I use that sweep panel, the thing is not going to be very parametric and adaptable to those different shapes. So I'm going to be using extrusion instead, which is more flexible. So I'm going to click on create. I'm going to click on extrusion. Then I'm going to click on set work plane. I'm going to now say pick a plane, and I'm just going to pick this surface here. So I'm going to use this pick line tool. I'm going to pick these edges. After picking these edges, I'm now going to do the same thing I did before. I'm going to click on AL, that is a shortcut for align. Select this line, select this face, select this line, lock it in place. Do the same here, click on escape, select this here, select this, lock it in place. Rotate this to the bottom, click on escape once, select this line here, lock it in place. Rotate this to this view here. Click on this again and align, lock it in place. Then click on escape. So after doing this, we're just going to set this parameter as -10. Then we're just going to click on material and we're going to change it to this frosted glass. We have already set the material before. We're going to click it and we're going to click Ctrl S and we're going to save it into project. Okay. They say this 001 transfer, so we are going to say yes, we want to replace the existing. Then after we have replaced that one, we're going to click on this. We're going to now click on this material and change it to this. I think we called it, just click on this silver plate, right click duplicate and call this 01 gold plate. Or bronze plate, whatever makes you feel good. So I'm just going to click on this, go to appearance, go to metallic paint. And then we're just going to select this. Let me just look for a nice paint here. Let me still use this glossy sienna, and I'm going to click on graphics. Make sure I select this choose render appearance, and I'm going to click apply and OK. Then we're now going to click on file. We're going to click on save as. We're going to click on family. Then we're just going to use it to replace this bronze panel, 002 bronze panel, and I'm going to click on save, override it. So now these panels are more adaptable. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to click on load into project. Then I'm going to say override existing version and its parameters. Yes. So I'm going to do the same for this transparent panel by opening it again. So I think this is it in my file explorer. Then I'm going to drag it and open it. So I'm going to click on load into project, and I'm going to click on override existing version. So you can see it has overridden this. So now I'm going to select this here. I'm now going to click on, instead of non-defined, I'm just going to change it to Windows first. So I'm just going to try and scatter everything. Let me just change it back to non-defined. Then I can click on delete munions. So I'm now going to click on this drop down and change it back to this sun shading device and see what it's going to do. We're going to click on delete and replace panels. Okay, so for some reason this thing is just scattered. I'm going to see how I'm going to resolve it and why it's disorganized like this. So now let's redraw it since we have reloaded this. So let's go back to DPC here, and we're just going to go and draw another line here, annotate detail line, and draw a line 75 millimeters from here. So after doing so, I'm going to go to architecture. I'm going to click on walls. I'm going to click on edit type to these sun shading devices to make sure that everything is supposedly as it should be, 900 millimeter, 900 millimeter, and click OK. Then I'm just going to draw the panel up to this point here. So I'm just going to click on this, and I'm going to click on switch here to switch this location. So if you go to 3D view, let's see what it formed. So I'm going to click on this. I'm going to change this parameter from lintel to deck level, and I'm going to put this offset of -150 and put the base offset of 150. So I'm going to click on replace panels. So let's just see. So now I'm just going to click on this here. I'm going to click on edit profile. Then I'm going to click on pick line tool. I'm going to pick here, and pick here. So since it's difficult now, what we're going to do is we're going to be manually adjusting and replacing these panels. So I'm going to trim this here, trim this here, trim this here. Then I'm going to delete this line here, delete this line, click on trim, and trim here. So I'm going to click on finish. So let's see. So it's going to show delete type. So we are going to replace these panels again. So what we can do now is to click on this here, and instead of making these panels 900, we're going to click on edit type, and we're going to reduce this to 600. So you know, I made the panels more adjustable and adaptable. So if I even change it to 600, I still feel it's supposed to. So I'm going to click on delete types, replace panels, and click on OK. So some of them were able to change, but some were not able to change. So let me just click on this again, click on this and change it back to non-defined. I'm going to click on delete grid lines. Then I'm going to click on this drop down and change it back to this sun shading panel and see how many panels it will be able to create. So we have some here. So let's try and see if we can change these last few ones. Okay, so now what we can do now is, since some of these panels are not going to change, so we are now going to adapt, and we're going to be using normal panels for these parts that I don't want to change. Alright, so what we're going to do now is we're just going to click on tab and select one of this panel. Then we're going to click on this drop down because we don't need to unpin it, and we're just going to change it from glazed to solid. So after changing it to solid, we're going to click on edit type, we're going to click on duplicate, and we're just going to call this 01. So let's just call this brass panels or gold panels too. Should be careful of spelling. So I'm just going to click on OK. I'm going to now change this offset to 10 millimeters. The thickness is fine. I can change this thickness to 15. I'm going to click on this tinted glass. Then I'm just going to change it, right click, duplicate, and I'm going to change it to 00 brass panels. Then I'm going to click on this icon here. I'm going to click on appearance. Then I'm just going to go to metallic paint. Then I'm just going to select this glossy sienna, go to graphics, make sure I click on use render appearance, click on apply, click on OK, apply, and OK. So after changing this panel now, we're just going to click on tab to select some of these other panels here. So I'm just going to click on tab. I'm going to be selecting this one here. I'm going to click on tab, select, hold control, select this, click on tab 2, hold control, select this, click on tab again, hold control, select this. The same thing, you can see the pattern I'm using to select all of them. So after clicking on tab, hold Control, select first, remove your hand from Control, click on tab again, hold Control, select this. So I'm just going to pick all these panels together. If you want to do it one by one, it's fine, but this is just my way of doing it faster. Then I think this is the last one. I'll select this small one here. So I'm just going to click on this drop down, and I'm just going to scroll to where this solid glazing is, and I'm going to change this from glaze to gold panels. Then you are going to see how this looks. So we're going to go to this bottom side. We're going to start from this side here, and we're just going to select some of these ones at these edges here. Of course, this may not be perfect as how we envisioned it, but as a designer and a BIM modeler, it's always good you'll be able to adapt to stuff and just manage with the tools you have at your disposal. So I'm just going to select all these ones in an alternating fashion. Yeah, this railing is obstructing, but it's not a problem. We're just going to zoom in, click on tab, select Control. So I'm just going to click on this drop down, and I'm going to change it to gold panels. So after you have changed these ones, now we can leave these remaining ones as glaze panels. We're now going to change some of these ones here. So for these ones, what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to leave this one as it is. So I'm going to start from here. I'm going to click on tab, select this. The same thing for this, click on tab, hold Control, select this, click on tab here, hold Control, the same, click on tab, hold Control, select this, 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 click on tab here, hold Control, select this. So we'll hover around this edge here. Once you click on tab, hold Control, and the panel is highlighted, we're going to just hold Control and left click to select it. So after doing this, now we're going to click on this drop down. Okay, so we're going to need to unpin this one, so we're just going to click on this unpin icon. Then we're going to click on this drop down. We're going to change it to this bronze panel here. Remember, I created the transparent panel and the bronze panel up here, so you can see how it's looking here. So the same thing, we're going to go to this point here, and we're going to do something similar. So I'm just going to go here. So if you can already look at this, you can see the pattern I've already created using these interchanging panels. So I'm just going to unpin this here, click on this drop down and change this to bronze panels. So I think we're done with this facade element. So I think so far, looking at this is looking very good. So now we are now going to switch into the roof side. Now we have done this, we're going to switch into the roof cover for this, and we're going to be roofing this section of this building as well as this side. So the kind of roof I want to do is kind of a roof that is flowing with this design. So the roof is going to be like continuous in some way or form. So I'm going to rotate this to this point here. Then I'm just going to go over to this point here, and then I'm just going to click on this wall here, and I'm going to edit it. Okay, so I'm just going to click on, so if you didn't see it, I'm just clicking on this wall at this rear side. So I'm just going to click on edit profile. So the same way this wall followed this part here, you can see if I rotate, I edited this second wall to follow this one. I'm going to edit this one to follow this one in some way. So I'm going to click on this, then I'm just going to click on pick part, and I'm going to pick this wall here, line here. I'm going to pick here, and I'm going to pick this wall line here. So I think after doing this here, I think that is the wall. Then I'm just going to click on this line here. Then I'm just going to click on trim, and I'm going to draw another line from this point to this point here. So I'm going to click on trim here to here. trim here to here and trim here to here. So I'm going to click on finish, and I'm going to click on save project because it's asking us to save. It's important to save. So now I'm going to rotate this to this point here. Then remember this roof I created here. I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to click on copy, and I'm just going to pick this point here and copy it to this point here. That is immediately after this wall. So by doing this, I can just click on this and change this style to consistent color. So I'm going to be seeing everything clear. So I'm going to click on this roof here. I'm going to click on move, and I'm just going to move this to this point here. So after doing this now, because I want this to be consistent in a very nice way, so I'm just going to rotate this to this point here. Then I'm going to click on this roof. Then I'm going to click on edit type, and I'm now going to click on duplicate. So I'm just going to be calling this 00 green roof. So in this green roof, I'm going to click OK. So the green roof is going to be a bit more complex than this normal roof we created. So we're just going to click on edit the structure. So of course, we're going to change this from white roof. We're going to change this material here to concrete. Then we're just going to select maybe this concrete precast. Then we're going to click on this structure here. We're going to change it, and we're going to change this. Instead of roofing sheet, we're just going to click on this and click on duplicate, and we're going to call this damp proof membrane. So after effecting this change, I'm just going to click on this icon. I'm going to click on appearance. I'm going to go to colors. I'm just going to go to paint. And I'm just going to let me just go to wall paint, and I'm going to select this black. Then I'm just going to click on OK. So after doing this, I'm going to click here and click on insert. Then I'm just going to create filter layer. So I can still right click duplicate. I'm just going to call this 00 filter layer. So this is, I know creating a green roof is far more detailed than this, but this is just a rough details. So we don't need to take this too seriously. So if you want to get the details of how to create a green roof, there are many images and materials online about the details. But so I'm just going to click on this. I'm just going to be using let me just use a default layer and just click on this generic material. Then I'm just going to click on apply and OK for the filter. So I'm going to be putting the filter as 50mm. Then I'm now going to be clicking on insert, and I'm going to be putting the green layer of 75mm. Then I'm just going to click on this and call this, click on this grass here, right click duplicate, and call this 00 green roof. Then I'm just going to click on this icon here. I'm going to click on appearance. Then I'm just going to click on site work. Then I'm going to scroll down, and I'm just going to click on this. Let me just use this a nice greeny. Let me just click on this hedge. Then I'm going to click on apply, and I'm going to click on OK. And so I'm going to click on OK. So after doing this now, we are going to click on this roof. We are going to take note of this line here because it's going to be very important. Because what I want to do is I want to create a roof that is going to stop at this point here. Stop at this point here, then just continue like this and stop somewhere here before getting down to this point. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click on edit footprint. I'm going to rotate this to this top here. Then I'm going to first drag this to this end here, or rather drag this to this point here. So after dragging this to this point, I can even choose to click on offset and offset this here by, let's say, 75mm. Or let me just make it consistent with this one in front and offset it by 50. Then I'm just going to offset it at this point. So after doing this now, I'm going to click on this roof line here. I'm going to uncheck this define slope. Then I'm going to click on AL, that is align. Select this, click on tab to select this line here. Click on this line, then click on this line for it to align here. Then I'm going to click on finish. So if you look at this point now, you can see how this green roof flush to this point here. And I think by this, it just makes sense for it to be here like this. Okay, so after doing this now, we're now going to rotate this to this top view now. Then we're going to click on this same green roof. We're going to click on copy, and we're just going to be copying this to this point here. So after copying this to this point, we are going to click on this. We are going to click on edit footprint. So this time we want the footprint to start from this point here, but we want it to start from the natural ground level. So, and I also want it to extend from here to this point here. And I can also click on this offset here and offset it by 50 millimeters at this side. So I'm going to click on this and I'm going to try and stop this here. For now, I'm just still experimenting. So I'm going to click on check this define slope here because I want the slope to start from this side. So I'm going to click here and I'm going to undefine this slope. So after doing this now, I'm now going to see if I can extend this to, okay, let me start from here. And I'm just going to click out. Then I'm going to change this from lintel down to NGL. So I'm now going to click on finish. So if you rotate this now, we see that obviously this is clashing with this. So this is not what I envisioned. So what this means is that this terrace is going to extend. So I'm just going to click on this and I'm going to click on move here from this side view. So I'm going to pick on this point here where these two intersect. Click on this and move this to this point. So moving this to this point, this is 2250. Then I'm going to add 150 millimeter, making it 2004. So there will be a good offset here. You can see this gap here. So what it means now is if I rotate this here, I'm going to now click on this and click on edit profile and now move this here and click on finish and see what will happen at this level. So now you can see, I think this stuff makes sense up to this point. I think it's good so far. They are almost the same, but we'll still do some touches to refine it. So now we are now going to click on this slab here. If you rotate this slab here, then we're going to click on edit boundary. I'm going to click on rotate to this top view. Then it means this slab is going to extend to this point too. That is 7.5, and I'm going to click finish. So now I'm just going to click on this roof here. And I'm now going to click on edit footprint. So I want this footprint to be in a way that here is going to be, at least most of this part is going to be open up to here. Okay. So I'm just going to click on this and I'm going to draw a line. I'm going to click on offset and I'm going to be offsetting 900 millimeter from each side. Make sure I check this copy, 900 here, 900 here, 900 here. Then I'm going to click on split and I'm going to split here. So I'm just going to trim this here and trim this here. All right. So after doing this, I'm just going to click finish. So you might be asking, like, after I've done this, I'm still leaving this place open. So things like rain will fall on these people. But just hold on, I'm still cooking. So we're going to rotate this back to this top view here. Okay. I don't think it's necessary for it to reach this high and be open. So I can click on this. I can just click on this roof here. Click on edit profile. Select this here and reduce this to 4.5 meter. This dimension here, temporal dimension. Or let me reduce it to 3.6. Then I can click finish. Then if you rotate it here, this 3.6 is still very high here. And anybody that wants to enter can enter from here if they want to. So now we're at this point now. We're now going to create a flat roof that is going to now cover this here. So I'm just going to rotate this to this top view. Then I'm going to click on this and I'm going to click on copy and copy this to this point here. Then on copying this, I'm going to now click on this roof, click on edit profile. Then I'm just going to try and match this roof to this point here. Move this here to this point and click on offset at 50 millimeter. Then I'm going to uncheck this copy and offset this here. So I'm also going to click on this and uncheck this slope here. Then I'm just going to drag this here and drag this to this point. Okay, so what I'm going to do instead, I'm going to select these two places here and I'm going to define these slopes. But I'm going to make these two slopes here very negligible. So I'm going to select both of them and change it to 5 degrees first. Then I'm going to click on finish. So obviously this is at lintel level, so it's not going to be showing here. So what I'm just going to do is instead I'm just going to change this from lintel level to deck level. Or I'm going to click on drop down and change it to roof level. Then I can just click on move and just manually fix it to this point, or rather even click on move and fix it here. So after doing this now, I'm now filling this whole stuff that is not slanted, that is slanted this way. So I'm just going to click on edit profile. Then I'm just going to select these two here, select these two lines here and uncheck this define slope and click finish. So after doing this now, I'm going to click on this and I'm going to click edit footprint. So I'm going to be creating some perforations for some frosted glazing, for some frosted glass openings here. So I'm just going to click on offset and I'm going to be offsetting, let's say 900 from this point here. Offset 900 here, offset 900 here, then offset 900. Then I'm just going to click on trim and I'm going to trim this here, trim this here, and trim this. So I'm just going to select these 4 lines and I'm going to click on copy and I'm going to be copying them at intervals of, let me use 2.1. Okay, so I'm just going to click on finish. So after doing this now, you can see some provisions for some trellis here. So what we can now do is now to just adjust this a bit. So I'm going to click on this. I'm going to rotate this to the top. Then I'm going to click on edit footprint and I'm just going to click on offset and offset this by 75 millimeter. Make sure I uncheck this copy, then offset it here. Then click finish. So I'm going to rotate this to the side and see what it looks like after offsetting it once. So I think it's close but not close enough. So I'm going to rotate this, click on edit profile, offset it again, but this time by, let me use by 25 millimeter. I'm just going to offset it. Then I'm going to click finish. So I'm just going to rotate it so it has reached it. So I'm just going to click on this, edit footprint, rotate this to the top, then drag this here. Then I'm just going to click on finish. So now after doing this, I think we have a comprehensive roofing system. You can see how the thing went like this. But we need to create some frosted glass panels here to shade this place here. So I think that will be essential. But we may also still need to create some shading device for this place because the amount of sunlight entering here might be too much. So I just know the right tools for that. And I'm going to show you how to do it. Alright, so let's start with the frosted panels. So I'm just going to go to component, I'm going to go to model in place, then I'm just going to click on casework and I'm going to click on OK. So after doing this, I'm just going to click on OK again, then I'm just going to click on sweep, I'm going to click on sketch path, then I'm going to click on set, I'm going to click on pick work plane, then I'm going to be picking the top of this saloon. So after picking this, I'm going to rotate this to this top view. Then I'm just going to go here. I'm going to pick a box tool, click on this point and pick this point here. So after doing this, we can see the sketching axis is on this side. So we're going to rotate to this left view. So we can click on finish, click on edit profile. Then we can just sketch our profile. So I'm just going to change this to wireframe for a bit. Then once I change it to wireframe, I can select the top of this roof here. I think it's this point here to the bottom here. I think this is the bottom here, 285. Then I'm just going to draw a material 100 millimeter. Then I'm just going to close it. So I'm just going to call this white. Let me just call this white. Look for any white window frame. Okay, I can use this window frame. I'm just going to click on OK. Click on finish. So if you want to create a new material, it's fine. I just was rushing it. So I'm going to change this back to consistent colors. Then I'm going to rotate this to the top view. Then after rotating this, I'm now going to click on create. I'm going to click on extrusion. Then I'm going to click on set. I'm going to click on pick a plane. I'm going to click on tab to select the top of this. Then I'm going to draw a box here. So this box, I'm now going to set the extrusion end to be -25. I'm now going to click on this and I'm going to call it duplicate and call this frosted glass. Then I'm just going to click on this and assign a material to it. Go under glass. Sorry about my voice. I've been having some cough and catarrh. So I'm just going to select this clear frosted and I'm just going to click on apply and click on OK. Then click on finish and finish here. So after finishing this component now, I'm just going to simply click on copy and just pick this point here and just copy it here. Okay, so now we have reached up to this point. So far, I think this is very nice. So now what we are going to be doing now is we're now going to create like kind of a wooden shade that is just going to cover this entrance. So it's also going to give this a kind of iconic entrance, the same way we have at this side. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to do some model in place stuff. So I'm just going to go to NGL now. Okay, so instead of going to NGL, let's go back to 3D view. So we're just going to rotate this to this top view. Then we're going to use what they call the model lines. So I'm going to go to architecture. I'm going to click on model line. So this model line, the placement plane is NGL, which is fine. So I'm just going to draw it from this point here where this thing stopped and just draw it outwards here. Then if you go back to this NGL, you see model line shows even in 3Ds and floor plans at the same time. So we're going to know this is where our line is. So what we're now going to do now is, now we're in NGL, I'm now going to click on RP, that is a reference plane. Then I'm just going to draw a reference plane on top of that model line to this point. Then remember that in this view, reference planes are hidden by category at the beginning of the video. So I'm just going to go over here and click on this reveal hidden elements. Then I'm just going to see the reference plane we drew. So I'm going to click on it and I'm going to click on this name and I'm going to change it to, let's just call it sit out entrance, sit out or sit out. No need to write a lot of long stuff and click out. So after doing this, we're just going to click on this close to off it. Then we're now going to go to 3D view again. So we're now going to click on component. We're going to click on model in place. We're now going to click on caseworks. We're going to click on OK. So I'm now going to click on sweep. So under this sweep now, I'm now going to click on sketch path. Sketch path. Then I'm now going to click on set. I'm now going to click on set work plane. Then I'm going to click on this drop down and set it at this sit out reference plane. You are going to see it. So remember the shortcut for reference plane is RP on your keyboard. So I'm just going to click on OK. Then I'm just going to rotate this to this front view or this left view here. So we are now going to draw our profile. So we're going to draw it from here, from this point here to this point here, down to here and down to here. So after doing this now, I'm just going to rotate this here to this left view. Then I'm just going to click on finish. Then I'm going to click on edit profile. Then I'm now going to start drawing our panels. So I'm going to draw one here first. This one will be up to 75 millimeter, down to 25 millimeter, back to 75 and join this. So I'm going to click on this fillet arc tool. I'm going to fillet here as well, fillet here too, fillet here too. Then I'm going to click on all these arcs and change it to 5 millimeters. Click on this 5 millimeters, here too 5, click on this 5. So after selecting this, I'm going to select these profile lines. I'm going to click on copy and I'm going to be copying it by 150 per each one. So after selecting 150, I can select this one, click on copy, pick this point here, the center of this point. Click on copy, pick the center of this point. Let me not make mistake. Copy this here. Then if you have copied two, you select it too. Click on copy, pick here and paste it here. Now you have copied 4, so you select the 4 of them. You see I'm just doing it, click on modify again, click on copy. So it's just simultaneous copying, so you'll be done quickly. So now we have done 8, select the 8 of them, click on copy, pick here, and pick here. Select the 16 here, click on copy, pick here, and pick here. Okay. Select this here. So another thing we're going to do is we're going to click on this point here and we're just going to draw a line at 45 degrees from this point to this point. So this is where we're going to stop. So you can see what I'm already planning. So let's just be working. So I'm just going to select all of this here up to maybe this point here. Select like this here. Then I'm going to click on copy. Click on this point here and copy this here. So after doing this now, we are just going to select one more, click on copy, click on this point and copy this here. Then I'm now going to click on this diagonal line, delete this. Then I'm just going to change this material here. Then I'm just going to select one wooden material. Let me just call this wooden stained and just right click, duplicate and just call this 00 wooden trellis. Then I'm going to click on OK. Click on finish. So now what I'm now going to do now is I'm now going to click on create. I'm going to first of all click on void forms. I'm going to click on void extrusion. Then I'm going to click on set. I'm going to click on pick work plane. Then I'm going to go to this bottom so I can be able to select this face here. So I'm just going to click on tab. So once I think I've selected the face, which I think by clicking on here, you know, once you have beveled these edges here, it will be difficult to select this face. So if you can't select it from a front view like this, you can rotate it and tilt it slightly. Then you can now click on create, void forms. Okay, click on set, pick a plane. Then once you just set this work plane, let me just tilt it, click on escape and tilt it more. Or if you are confused, you can just click on create. You can just click on set work plane and pick work plane, and maybe pick even this work plane that you are sure is flat and set it as your work plane. Then we're going to rotate it to this side. Then we're just going to pick from this line here. We can turn on this wireframe now. We are going to draw a line, pick from here. Once we get this point here, we're now going to draw a line up to this point here. Or let me just draw a line from here up to this point at 135 degrees. Then I'm going to draw another line here from here, following this roof here. Then I'm going to draw a line going down and going down here, joining up with this, so I can trim this. So this doesn't need, this is a void form, so I'm going to click on this and change it back to consistent color. So this is a void form, it doesn't need to be perfectly matched. Okay, so after doing this now, I'm now going to set this void cut to, let's say, 6,000. So it's going to cut everything inside. So it's going to go as deep as possible. Then I'm going to click on finish. So you can see how it has cut this plane here. So what you can now do now to just fill this place up, let it not be looking weird, is to just rotate this to this point here. We're just going to click on create. We're going to click on extrusion. We're going to click on set, pick work plane. We're just going to pick this face here. Then we're just going to rotate this bar to this corner here. Then we're just going to click on a box here. We're going to pick maybe from any of these points here. Maybe from here, going down to this place here. Then we can just click on some offset of 25mm from each side. Then after doing so, we're going to select this. We're just going to click on copy, select the center of this point here. Copy this here, change this to 10mm, click on this material and change it to that same wooden trellis. Okay, this wooden trellis. Then click on OK, click on finish. So now you can see the element we have created. So this is a nice entrance. I'm just going to click on finish. So if you rotate this, you can see how this is looking. So I think this is looking nice. So I think the final thing for this facade now is going to be to create some shading devices. Okay, so these shading devices will also serve as maybe a kind of railing here. So all right, so what we are going to do is we are going to go to this NGL. So of course we are going to be creating another curtain wall panel system. So this curtain wall panel system is going to be for sun shading device, for basically gray sun shading device. So we're just going to call it sun shading device 2. So I'm just going to go to architecture. I'm going to click on walls. Then after clicking on walls, I'm just going to click on this curtain wall sun shading, click on edit type and click on duplicate and call it 00 sun shading device 2. I think, yeah. I didn't even spell the shading well. I just figured it out. So I'm just going to call this sun shading 2. Okay, sorry, I clicked on rename. So I'm going to click on cancel. I'm going to click on duplicate and I'm just going to call this sun shading device 2. So I'm going to click on OK. I'm going to change this curtain panel to none. I'm going to go over here, this vertical grid layout. I'm just going to change it to fixed distance. So I'm going to change this to 150. Then this horizontal, I'm going to click on this and change it to none. So after this, I'm now going to go to this munion. I'm just going to only check this vertical munion and I'm going to just set it at this main munion for now. Then I'm going to set this border munion, main munion, border 2 munion, main munion. And also for this, I'm only going to change this border munion, main munion, border munion, main munion for now. Then I'm going to click on OK. So I'm just going to draw a sample cutting wall of this, just small one to this point here. So after doing this, I'm going to go to 3D, and this is what it's looking at currently. So I'm going to click on this cutting wall. Then I'm just going to click on tab, select one of these munions here. Then I'm just going to unpin it. Then I'm going to click on edit type. I'm going to click on duplicate. So I'm now going to change this to 00 sun shading grails, shading munions or shading munions. Then after doing this, I'm going to click on OK. So I'm going to change the thickness of this munion to 25 millimeter or 15 millimeter in short. Then I'm going to change this material to wooden trellis. So I'm just going to click on, I can set it at wooden panels as well. I'm going to change the width on each side to 37.5. So each of them is now going to form 75 millimeter width in total. The same thing here. Then after doing this, I'm just going to click on OK. So now after creating this panel here, I'm now going to create this border munion. So I'm going to click on tab here, select this one. I'm going to unpin it. Then I can click on this drop down and change it to shading munions first. Then I'm going to click on edit type. I'm going to click on duplicate, and I'm going to call this shading munions too. Or then I think the name is OK. So I'm going to change this thickness to 75 millimeter. Then I'm going to change this width on one side to 10, width on the other side to 10. So it's like a narrower but thicker version of the same munion. Then after doing this now, I'm now going to click on this cutting wall here. I'm going to click on edit type. I'm going to go over to these munions and just change this interior to one to shading munions. Then this exterior one to this shading munions too. Oh, sorry, this border type to this shading munions too. Then this interior, this one we are going to put this horizontal as none. Then change this border border 1 type to shading munions too, border 2 type shading munions too. Click on apply, click on OK. Then we're going to click on this cutting wall. We're going to change this angle back to 0. Click on this, change this back to 0. Delete element. So let's go. So after doing this now, well, we can now click on tab, select one of these panels, and just click on edit type and click on duplicate, and just call this 0A. Then I'm going to click on OK. So I'm going to change this from tinted glass to air. So because air is invisible in Revit, so it's not going to be there. Then I'm just going to look for air material. Going to click on enter after searching it. It should be here. So I'm going to click on this air graphics, use render. Okay. Click on OK. Click on apply and click on OK. So you can see it's transparent. So I'm just going to click on this and I'm going to click on edit type. Then I'm going to change this cutting panel to click on drop down and change it to air. So I think this air cutting panel should be here. So I can see system panel 00 air. So I can click on apply, click on OK. So now this is done. We're just going to click on this. We're going to delete this first. So we're going to go back to this DPC, or we can even go to NGL here. Then we can run a cutting wall panel from this point here. I think this wall is okay to run from here. So I'm going to click on walls. Then I'm going to set this from NGL to DPC or NGL to lintel. So I'm just going to draw this from here to this point here. So after it has created, I'm going to go to 3D view. Then I'm going to see what it's doing. So if I click on this now, I'm going to make sure I've changed this angle back to 0. Change this angle back to 0. Then I'm now going to click on edit profile. So the editing profile is now going to be the main stuff. So I'm going to pick here this line, pick this line here. Then I'm just going to click on trim, and I'm just going to trim this here, or rather trim this here. So after doing so, I'm going to click on this line and extend it here. I'm going to click on remove constraint. Then I'm going to delete this line here. So I'm now going to click on offset. I'm going to be offsetting 1.8 meter from this upper one here. Click on check copy, then offset 1.8 from here. Then I'm going to offset 900 from this slanted line here. Offset 900, make sure copy is checked on. Then I'm going to also offset 900 from here. So I'm just going to click on trim, and I'm going to trim this here, trim this here. Then just to make it a bit interesting, I can click on line work here and I can draw a line for maybe this point and join this here, then trim this. On the second thought, I'm just going to click on offset and reduce this first two offsets by 300mm offset. Uncheck this copy, offset this backward here. Then I'm going to pick line 2 here, pick here. Then I'm going to click on trim and trim this together. So after doing this, I'm going to click on finish. Okay, it didn't join well. Let me just trim this here and click on finish and see what happens. So I'm just going to click on delete element to delete any remaining discrepancy. So we can see the shading device, and I think this is looking clean and wonderful. So what we can now do now is we can go back to this NGL. We can click on this and just simply click on mirror and mirror this from this center point to this other side too. So if you click on 3D view, we are going to see the saloon we have created. So this is like a luxury saloon. So in the end, I think this concept is looking very nice. So now we are going to jump into the presentation stage of this. So this is not a very complex project. It's a small project, so we don't need a site plan. We just need to show the floor plan and some 3Ds and stuff, and maybe a few sections. Okay, so we are going to start by setting up the floor plan. So that is the deck level and the DPC. So we are going to go to the DPC first. So from the DPC, we are seeing basically most of it. We can delete some of these lines we don't need here. Then some discrepancies like this one here. I don't know why this saloon is not enclosed, but I'm just going to click on this review hidden elements to see whether there is an issue here. So what I can do, if I'm seeing discrepancy I can resolve, I can click on room separator and just forcefully draw room separators around this place here to this point here, just to make sure it's enclosed, because for some reason it's not enclosed, so I can't really see why. So after drawing room separators here, I'm also going to try and do the same here. So I'm just going to click on room separator line. I'm going to draw from this point here to this point, up to this point. Then I'm going to draw another room separator line from this point. I can click on this, turn off this here. I can draw another room separator line from here. Draw another one here. Draw another one here. Go here. Then draw another one from, let's say, here. Up to this point here. Up to this point here. And draw another line from here. So now after drawing all this room separator line, if you click on TL to off tail lines, you can see how distracting these room separator lines are. So I'm just going to select one of them, right click, hide in view by category. So after doing this, now all these places that they are supposed to be overhead beams, we can go to annotate, click on detail line, click on this drop down, select overhead lines and just draw some overhead lines from here. So after creating this room separator lines, we can now go over here and click on, these overhead lines. So now you can see that the graphics of this wall fill is bland, so it's not supposed to be like this. So what we're now going to do is we're now going to click on VV, that is visibility graphics. We're going to scroll down and we're going to look for walls. So under this wall section now, we're going to scroll till we enter these cut columns. So you can see wall, under wall, we're under this cut column. So we're just going to select this pattern here. Click on override. Then we're going to click on this drop down and we're going to select solid fill. Then we're going to set the color to black but not very black, almost black, and click on OK. Then we're also going to just click OK. So we're also going to set the cut line weight. We're going to click on it and we're going to click on this drop down and change the weight to 6. Then I'm going to click on OK, click on apply and click on OK. So after doing this, you can see how the lines are coming out well. So another important aspect, even though this is a very small project, it's very important you put grids in your project. So what are grids? So grid lines normally in bigger projects, I usually place them earlier than this. But because this project is a small project and I can use my design prowess to manipulate the structure in a way that even after I place grid lines, it will not cause any issue. But it's always advisable to use grid lines early on time in the project. But grid lines are basically imaginary lines used in architectural and construction drawings. So these imaginary lines help you locate parts of your project. For instance, the grid lines, if I place a grid line here, is going to reflect in the upper floors. So if you want to trace something, an element from the upper floor, you can always reference back to that grid line. So to create grid lines in Revit is simple. We are going to go to architecture. We are going to click on grid here. So we are going to make sure we select this 8mm bubble. If you are clicked on the transfer template, you are going to see I've already edited this grid line. So I'm just going to click on this 8mm, click on one point here, then drag it to this point. So grid lines are usually named in numerical or alphabetical order, or even both. But so we are going to start from the horizontal grid line. So we are going to be placing them in key structural aspect and external walls. So we are going to place another grid. You see what I said about the design prowess? You see how these walls are aligned? So this is what grid line helps to do. Okay, so we are going to be picking from the center of each wall. Grid 3. And we're going to pick this grid 4 here. So I'm sure you'll be asking, like, these grids now, some of them are inside this plan. So we are still going to adjust that. To do that, we're just going to click on this grid. We're going to drag it out to this point here. Then we're going to click on it and drag it. So once we have dragged it to meet the other ones, it's going to like lock with them. So we're just going to drag all of them together. We're going to click on tab, select this grid 3, drag it to this point here. Click on this and push this one a bit forward. So we have this horizontal grid. So now we are going to create the vertical grid. So we're just going to click on, so the vertical grid, as you see, the horizontal grid starts from top to bottom. So the vertical grids usually start from left to right. So it's important to know this. So we're going to click on grid. We're going to start from, let's just start from here and just draw one down. So instead of naming this 5, we're going to now name this A. We're now going to change this to alphabetical. Then I'm going to click on grids again, and I'm going to place another one here. Click on this one, call this grid B. Click on this main key one, call this grid C. Click on this one here, D, and click on this one here, grid E. So after doing this, I'm just going to click on this grid here, click on this top part and drag them up. So after doing this, we're now going to go back to working on some graphical aspects. So we're going to put room tags in these spaces we have not put room tags. So I'm going to click on room. Since I've put room separator lines, if I just go to this place now, I can place a room here. So I'm going to place one here. I'm going to place another one. So another thing I forgot is, while placing this room tag, I'm going to select the 2 room tags, click on this drop down and change it to room with area. So their area in meter square is going to be showing. So I'm now going to change this to, let me use the launch. Sorry. So after giving it this name, we're going to click on this one and we're going to name this entrance. So after giving this name entrance, we're now going to use lines to indicate that this is a ramp. So I'm going to go to annotate. I'm going to go to detail line. I'm going to just change this from overhead to 10 lines. Then I'm just going to draw a line from here to this point. Then I'm going to draw another line from here to this point here. So after doing this now, I'm now going to click on escape. So I'm also going to do some little more graphics work. I'm going to draw a cross line indicating that this is a duct. I'm going to now click on escape. So I forgot to place a window here at this receptionist side. So I can click on one of these curtain wall windows here. Click on copy. Click on pick this one here. Paste this here. Then click on rotate and rotate this by 90 degrees. So after doing this now, I'm now going to click on move. I'm going to pick here and drag this and drop this here. So this has given windows to this receptionist. So now we are still working on the graphics work. We have made some progress. So what we're now going to do, we're going to select one of these furnitures. We're going to right click, override graphics in view by category, hover around this override graphics in view by category. Then we're just going to click on this half tone. So the furnitures won't be looking too strong. We're going to do the same thing for this. Right click, override graphics in view by category. Then we're going to half tone this, click OK. We're also going to select this. Okay, I've selected the plumbing fixtures. So now we're now going to go and use what they call color schemes. So color schemes are tools in Revit that demarcate rooms into different colors. So it will visually allow people viewing the floor plans to easily visualize and say, okay, this space, this color represents this space and this space. So it's just a graphic stuff for enhancing presentation. So we're just going to go over to this properties panel here. We're going to go to color scheme. We're going to click on this none. Then we're going to go over here, click on this drop down and click on rooms. Then we're going to now click on this name. Then we're just going to double click this by value 2 times and we're going to click OK. Then the color scheme is going to appear. You're going to see everything here. So another thing we can do to enhance this text here, because these texts are just kind of bland, we can now click on this room tags, click on edit family, click on this text here, click on edit, change this background from transparent to opaque so it's going to stand out regardless of any furniture. Click on this, click on edit type, change it from transparent to opaque, click OK, then click on load into project no, then override graphics in view so you can see how it's standing out now. So after doing this, we are going to do one final thing. We are going to go to GD, that is graphics display. Then we're now going to do some final touches. We're going to turn this to smooth line, check this smooth line with anti-aliasing. Then we're going to click on this shadow. We're going to click on cast shadow, show ambient shadow. Then we're going to click on lighting. We're going to increase the sun amount to 100, the ambient light to 20, then the shadows to 5. Then we're going to click on this in session lighting. Then we're going to click on this sunlight from top right. Then I'm going to click on OK, click on apply and click on OK. So our presentation plan for this project is ready. So now the next thing we're now going to do is we're now going to go over to view. So once we go to this view, instead of, because we are still going to work on the deck plan, okay, but instead of wasting time and doing all this thing we have done, we're just going to click on view template. We're now going to click on create a view template. So I'm going to call this 00 plan press, meaning presentation plan. So I'm just going to click on OK. Then the template is going to create. I'm going to click on OK again. So what I can do now to just help this view is I can go to architecture, click on walls, click on this drop down and select this normal 225 wall, change the thing from DPC to deck level. Then I'm just going to make sure I draw a wall here, just locking this place up so it will not interfere with the main space, and the same for this here. So after doing this, I think this looks much better. Then I can go to annotate, click on detail line and draw some lines indicating this part will be a void. So it will not, the spaces will make sense more. Okay, so after doing this now, we're now going to go and rename this floor plan now. So I'm just going to click on rename and I'm going to go to and call this 02 ground floor plan. So it's going to ask us a question. Once I click out, it's going to ask us, would you like to rename corresponding levels on views? So it means it's going to ask us whether I want to rename the levels to this name. So I'm going to click on no. I still want the levels to retain that DPC name, but I want this name to change as ground floor. So when I'm placing it on sheet, it's going to make sense. So we are now going to go to this deck level. So in this deck level now, instead of wasting time and doing that same thing, we're just going to go to view template. We're going to click on view template. Under views, we're going to now click on apply template. Then we're going to see this plan press we created and we're just going to click OK. Then everything is just going to transfer here. So the reason why there is no color scheme is because we didn't create any rooms here. So we're just going to click create rooms. So because we don't have any walls demarcating here, we're just going to click on architecture. We're going to add some room separator lines to separate this. So I'm going to draw a room separator line from this point here down to this point. So the reason why this room separator line is not visible is because we hid it by category. If you click on this review hidden element, you are going to see it here. Okay, then I'm going to just turn this off. So I'm just going to click on room. I'm going to set it from deck level to roof, change this limit offset to 0. Then I'm going to place one room here. I'm going to click on this drop down, change this to room tag with area, hit Ctrl Z first, hit Ctrl Z, click on this drop down, change it to room tag with area. So it's going to place with the area here and here. So I'm going to click on escape. I'm just going to call this roof deck terrace. Then I'm going to call this let me just say Savre. Then I'm going to call this stairway. So after doing this, now we have our presentation plans, very ready, very nice stuff. So let's move into creating sections. Okay, so let's go to just this color scheme, click on this by name, then double click this and just click OK. So I think this is good, roof, deck, terrace and Savre. So now we can now create the section. So section is an integral part of architectural project. Let's just go back to ground floor for this. So it's actually seeing the cross section of a part of a project. So in creating sections, it's typical that you create section in where there are major structural elements like a staircase. So to create section in Revit is very simple. We're going to click on view, we're going to click on section. Then we're going to pick one point here, any point here, and we're just going to create a section and click again on another point. So after creating this, we can click on this. We can, in order for this section not to be interfering with our graphics, we can click on this zigzag icon here to split it, then drag this point here. It's not literally splitting the section, but it's graphically splitting it. So we're now going to drag this point here. So after creating the section, to view the section we have created, we can double click on this head here and we're going to see the cross section of this our view. So you can see how nice this is looking. You could see the advantages of creating a very detailed model. So now what we're going to do first, we're going to start working on the graphics of this section. So we're going to click on this. We're going to right click, hide in view by category to hide this reference place. We're going to go over here and we're going to click on this hide crop region. So this crop region won't be visible. So these levels are okay. We're going to click on tab here. Okay, we're going to select this room separator lines. We're going to right click, hide in view by category. So after doing this now, I think our section is ready. It's almost ready, sorry. So I'm just going to click to architecture. So in sections, we can't create room tags, but we can tag already created room. So this is why room tags are better than normal text. So if you click on tag room now, you are going to see tag room. We are going to see these spaces we created: outdoor terrace, roof deck, facials, changing room, convenience, stairway, and stairway here too. So you can see how this is looking. So now we are going to click on VV to add some graphics, display visibility graphics to this section. So this is a presentation drawing, so I don't need to start showing details of the concrete work, the beams. So we're just going to be using dark field region. So I'm just going to scroll down. If you want to see how to create a detailed section, I've done a video on that, so you can check my YouTube playlist and see what you can use to help yourself. So we're just going to scroll up. We're going to look for floors. So once we go, it's arranged in an alphabetical order, so you can use it to look for what you're looking for. So we have these floors. Under these floors, we are going to change this, go over to these patterns here, click on this drop down and change it to solid fill. Then we're going to click on the color and we're going to change it to almost black. Okay, let's just make it black and click OK. Then we're also going to go to this cut line. So we're going to click on override. We're going to click on the weight and change it to 6 and click on OK. Then we're going to scroll down and do the same thing for the walls. So we're going to click on patterns. We're going to click on this, select solid pattern. This time we're going to make it totally black. Then click on OK. Then we're going to click on override for the cut lines, change the weight to 6. Click OK. Click OK. Then after doing this now, we're now going to go to graphics display option, that is GD. Then we're just going to turn on this smooth line with anti-aliasing. We can click on shadows, cast shadows. We don't need to click on show ambient shadows. Click on lighting, increase the lighting to about 70, ambient light to about 20, shadows to about 5. Click on this in session lighting, change this from top to left. Click on apply, click on OK, apply, and OK. Then you have our section here. So of course we might need to just put some foundation footing. So for this I don't do too much, I just use some graphic setting. So that now brings us to the annotate and field region. So in this field region, it gives us the opportunity to use a bit of graphics stuff where we don't need to model. So I'm just going to click on region here. Then I'm going to click on this drop down and I'm going to select look for solid black. So once I click on OP solid black, I'm just going to change this for thin lines and I'm going to be selecting wide lines. Then I'm just going to select this point here up to 600 or 900, anyone, draw it to this point here. give a gap, any gap here, let's say 1.2, draw this up to 600 or 225. So the reason why I'm just giving random dimensions in this foundation, it means that I want to draw it in a way that indicating that the details of this foundation will be specified by a professional, maybe a structural engineer. So instead of giving the length, I'm going to use give a graphics indication using these 10 lines now. Then I'm just going to pick this point and draw a zigzag line here, indicating that this depth is unspecified. So after I do this here, I'm going to select these 3 or 4 lines, click on copy, pick this point and copy this here. So after doing this now, I'm going to click on this line work again, click on this drop down and select wide lines. Then I'm going to pick this point, impute 225, click enter, impute 150 here, click enter, click on this point here, another 225, enter, click here and click here. Then I'm not going to delete this line here. So I'm going to click on finish. And I'm going to just copy this, click on copy and copy this to all the walls here. All this section of these walls. So a big mistake I forgot to do is if you click on this field region, I'm going to click on edit type. Then I mistakenly forgot that this foreground pattern is white. So I'm going to click on this and make sure this is black and click OK. So I'm going to click on apply and it's going to just appear like this one. Then I'm just going to click on this show crop region. Then I'm going to click on this crop region and extend it here. So I'm just going to click on this and hide crop region. So now I'm going to be putting the hardcore. So hardcore is the thing that comes after a slab. So I'm going to click on region. I'm going to click on this drop down if I don't have any hardcore here. So if you have transfer template, you're going to see a hardcore already created, so you can use it. Click on this hardcore, click on this box too, and just draw a hardcore from here to this point. So after doing this, I'm going to click finish. So you can see that this hardcore is overlapping over these walls here, which is not supposed to be. So I'm just going to click on this and click on send to the back. So after doing this now, I'm going to do the same thing for laterite. So I'm just going to go to architecture. I'm going to go, annotate. I'm going to go to region. I'm going to click on this drop down and select this laterite here. Then I'm just going to click on this box, pick here, and just pick to this point, just big enough that the field region is not going to, the crop region is not going to grab the edges. So I'm going to click on finish. Then I'm going to click on this laterite field region, click on this drop down and click on, click on this drop down here and click on send to the back. So you can see our section is ready. So after this section is ready, we're now going to go. So another thing that is important that I didn't do now is, if before creating your presentation plan, it's always important you create your sheets. This project is a small scale project, so I'm very confident that it's going to enter an A3 sheet. But you can't say the same for bigger projects because they might not enter the sheet. So it's good that you create a sheet first. So with that said, we're now going to jump into creating sheets before we now create the 3Ds and package everything. So to create sheet in Revit, let's just save this project first, then we're going to create the sheet. Alright, so if you are looking to create sheets in Revit, it's very simple. You're going to click on file, then you're going to click on new. Under this new, you're going to click on family. Then we're going to go back, since this is the English Imperial, we're going to click on this and go to this English metric. Then we're going to see a folder called title blocks. We're going to double click on it. Then we're going to see A4, A3, A2. So you make your choice. I usually suggest A3. Then depending on the project, you can use the any sheet size that you can print. But A3 is usually printable from Microsoft, from Revit to PDF. So I'm just going to click on open. Okay, so after doing this now, we're now going to just design a small sheet. So in this sheet here, we're going to put some border lines. We're going to click on lines. We're going to click on, instead of these title block lines, we're going to click on wide lines. Then I'm just going to click on this box too, but then I'm going to put an offset of -5 millimeters. So I'm going to pick this point here and pick this point here. So this has now created our border lines. Then I'm now going to create a place where the sheet number is going to be and the sheet name is going to be. So I'm just going to go to create. I'm going to go to field region. Then I'm going to click on edit type and call this duplicate. Then I'm just going to call this, let me call this orange. So I'm just going to click on OK. So I'm just going to click on this foreground pattern from diagonal crossers to fill. Then I'm going to click on this foreground pattern and I'm going to change it to an orange color. So I'm just going to drag this to this point here and make this bright orange. Then I'm just going to click on add. So it's going to add this orange color. Yes, so I'm going to click on OK. So the reason why I added it, if I click on this background color pattern and I click on this, I'm just going to see this orange and I'm going to add it. Then I'm going to click on apply and OK. So I'm going to click on these lines to sketch, but I'm going to change this from wide lines or title block to invisible lines. Then I'm going to click on this box tool and I'm going to draw a box at this point here, up to 10 millimeter here. 150. Then I'm going to draw another box here up to 10 millimeter at maybe, click on this and change this to 45 or 50. So I think this is fine. Then I'm just going to click on finish. So after doing this now, we're now going to create some labels. So labels are basically text with parameters. So these parameters may affect your sheet name, your sheet number, so we can set all those stuff. So if you are changing the sheet name and creating new sheet, is going to adapt. So we're going to go to create, we're going to click on label, then we're just going to click on anywhere on the screen, then the parameter choice board is going to come out. So we're going to scroll down and we're going to look for sheet name. Well, once we click on the sheet name, we're going to click on this icon here, then you're going to see the sample value sheet name and we're going to click on OK. Then after doing this, we're just going to click on this text. We're now going to edit the text. Then we're going to click on edit type as you saw now. We're going to change this text font to Source Sans Pro. Then we can increase this and make this bold. We can change this text size to 4. Then we can change this, but make sure this background is opaque. Then click on apply and click on OK. So after doing this, we're just going to drag this to this point here. Then we're just going to extend this here. So if the sheet name is long, it's going to still be enter this point. So we're now going to click out again. Then we're going to click on create. We're now going to click on label again. Then we're just going to click on anywhere on our screen. Then we're just going to scroll down and click on sheet number. Then click on this. So the sample value is A101, which is nice. And I'm going to click on OK. So I'm going to click on escape, just adjust this a bit to here. Then I'm just going to click out. So I'm going to click Ctrl S to save this sheet. Then I'm just going to name it as Barbing Saloon sheet. Then I'm going to click on save. So I'm now going to click on load into project and close. Then it's going to load into this project. So I'm going to go over to this project browser. I'm going to go to sheet. So automatically Revit used to come with, I'm going to close this here because it's saying can't create any. Revit used to come with some sheets, but I'm just going to click on one of these sheets here. I'm going to scroll down to this last one, hold shift and click. So it's going to select everything. Then I'm just going to delete it. So we're going to clear our slate clean. So we're going to go to this sheet here again. This sheet icon here, you can see this. Right click and click on new sheet. Then you're going to see Barbing Saloon sheet and we're going to click on OK. So after the thing has named, created one, you're going to see automatically it's going to give this a name. So we're just going to right click, click on rename to rename it. So we're going to change this number to A001 and we're going to give this a sheet name. So let's call this A001 as ground floor. Then we're just going to click OK. Then I'm going to click on sheet, new sheet again. So it's going to just follow this numerical order. So if this A0001 is the ground floor, I'm going to click on rename and I'm going to name this A002 the 10th floor. And click OK. Then if this is the 10th floor, I'm going to click on new and click on new sheet and I'm going to name this next one the right click, rename. I'm going to name this next one the section. Click on OK. So I'm now going to click on sheet. I'm going to click on new sheet. Click on OK. I'm going to right click. I'm going to click on rename. Then I'm going to name this next one the 3D view. Then I'm just going to click on OK. Or let me just create it for two 3D views. So I'm going to call this 3D view 1. Click on OK. Click right click, click on new sheet, create the 5th sheet, and I'm just going to click on rename and call this 3D view 2. Then I'm just going to click OK. So after I've given this sheet all their names, I'm going to click on this A001. Then I'm going to scroll up to where they are on the architectural view. So you can see this ground floor here. So I'm just going to click, hold, left click, hold, and just drag this here. So I'm just going to place this here. So since we already have this sheet name here, we can click on this drop down and change it to no title, because we already have a title here, ground floor plan. So you can see how this is looking. Beautiful stuff. We can go to paint floor. We can now go to deck level, and we can just drag this here and drag this and place this here. So you can see how this is placing. Nice stuff as well. So you can adjust this here. Then we can click on this drop down and click on no title. So even from this sheet, you can also adjust things in this view. So if you want to adjust this, you just hover around this and double click, then you'll be able to access the view. So we can click on this section, drag this point here, drag this one here, and just drag this out so it will not be interfering graphically. You can click on this and just push this out a bit. So this is nice. So we're going to double click outside again to set it back to be able to access the sheets again. So we're going to click on this section. We're going to go over to this section views here. Click on this plus. We're going to see that section we created, and we're just going to drag it here. There you can see. Click on this drop down, click no title. So after doing this now, we are now going to start working on the 3D views, which we have not worked on. So before we work on the 3D views, we will need to create some context to this. Okay, so if you go back to NGL, this is just a barbing salon. It's not like this has a site. So, or maybe it may have a site, but let's just create a small hypothetical something, maybe, and do some nice stuff. So we're just going to go to architecture. So typically people in Revit, they have the massing and site interface. So this massing and site interface is good for creating site stuff. Okay, it's meant for creating site stuff, but for practicality, I usually use floors to create sites, and that is what, to be honest, many Revit users actually do, even though this is the proper tool to use when creating site components. But I'm just going to be honest, and I'm going to show you how I use floors to create site plans in Revit or site components. So I'm going to go to architecture. I'm going to click on floors. So now, instead of using these normal floors, I'm going to edit it and duplicate it and create the floors for the site. So I'm just going to click on this drop down and see whether the template gives me some site floors, which I don't think it does. So I'm just going to click on edit type. I'm going to click on duplicate, and I'm just going to call this 01 paved area. Then I'm just going to click on OK. So after doing this now, I'm just going to click on edit structure. Then I'm going to click on this material, and I'm going to right click, duplicate, and I'm just going to call this 00 paved area. After doing this, I'm just going to click on this icon here. I'm going to go to appearance. I'm going to go to site work. Then under this site work, I'm just going to select maybe this cobblestone here. Click on graphics, make sure I click on render appearance, click on these patterns here and change it to no pattern. Click on this too, scroll up, change it to non-pattern. Then click on apply and click on OK. So after doing this, I'm just going to click on OK, click on OK. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure this height offset is at 0. Then I'm just going to pick a box tool here. I'm going to pick from this point here up to this point here. Then after picking on this point here, I'm now going to click on offset, and I'm just going to be offsetting 4.5 meter from this front here and 3 meter from the other side. So this is basically our site. So what I'm now going to do is I'm now going to click on this line here, and I'm now going to draw a line from this entrance line here to this point, draw another line to this point here. So I'm now going to draw a line from here up to 1.5 meter and draw another one to this point here. Then I'm just going to click on split, and I'm going to split this line here, delete these two lines here. Then I'm going to trim this here and trim this here. So after doing this, I'm going to click on finish. So now we have created the paved area. Okay, my system is steaming now. Okay, so after we have done this now, we are now going to create green areas. So using this same fashion, we are going to go to architecture. We are going to click on floors. So I'm just going to click on this floor again. I'm going to click on edit type. I'm going to click on duplicate, and I'm going to call this 00 I'm going to now call this green area or greenery. Then I'm going to click on OK. So this green is a key part. It actually defines, so we're going to use it to define the parking spaces. And we're just going to, I think that is what we're going to do. So I'm just going to click on this edit structure. I'm going to click on this material. And I'm just going to look for this grass material I've created before and click on OK. And click on OK. Click on OK. So like this paved area, we're going to click on a height offset of 150 millimeters for this green area. So I'm just going to click on line here. And I'm going to draw a line from this point to 1.5 and up to 6 meters here. Then I'm going to draw this line here. I'm going to draw this line here to this point. Then I'm just going to draw this line here up to this point. Draw the line from here to this point here. Then draw this line here. Then draw another line here to join this point here. Then draw another line here. And draw another line here up to 4.5 meters. And meet up here. Then draw a line from this point here, joining this here. Then do something similar here, up to 4.5. We can impute the value 4,500. Then draw it to this point. So I'm going to click on trim and I'm going to trim this here. I'm also going to click on this line here and delete this. Then I'm not going to, because there is something we call turning radius, which is very important. So we're just going to click on this turning radius where cars are using this fillet tack. And we're just going to create a turning radius of 3 meters here. Select this here. So after we have placed this, we're just going to click on this and we're going to change this to 3 meters. 3,000. So after doing this now, we are going to click on finish. Okay. So this is going to be like where cars are going to park. So now we are now going to create the asphalt road. So using a similar fashion, we are going to click on floor. This time we are going to click on edit type. We are going to click on duplicate and we are going to call this 00 asphalt. Then I'm just going to click OK. So I'm not going to click on edit type. I'm just going to click on this material, right click, duplicate, and I'm going to call this asphalt. Then I'm just going to click on this icon. I'm going to click on appearance. I'm going to scroll down and I'm just going to go to site work. Then I'm going to click on this aggregate high. Then I'm going to click on apply, OK, and click on OK again. OK. So I'm just going to click on this pick line tools. I'm going to pick here, 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 and here. Then I'm going to click on this line again. I'm going to draw another line from here. Just extend it up to like this point, up to 8 meters here. Then just draw it and just join this here. Then we're going to make sure this height offset of this asphalt is also set at 0. Then we're just going to click on finish. So after doing this now, we're now going to place some parking. So I'm just going to go over here and I'm going to go to massing and site. I'm going to click on parking component. Then I'm just going to edit this parking and make sure it's 5 meters. That is 5,000 millimeters in length by 2,500 millimeters in width. So I'm going to click on OK. Then I'm going to hover around here and place the parking here. Then I can just click on this parking, click on array here. Make sure this is at this. This is at set at, this is moved to is at set at second. Then pick this point here, pick this second point and just place the number of copies you want it to have. So I'm just going to make it, let's say 6 copies. So there are 6 parking for here. So now for this main entrance, I want to create like stamped concrete curbs. So you can also do that with floors. Very simple. So we're just going to click on this grass, or what we're going to do is we're just going to create a new kind of floor. Go to architecture. Click on floors, click on edit type, click on duplicate. Then we're just going to call this 00 gravel. So we're going to click on OK, click on edit type, click on this asphalt here, right click, duplicate, change it to 00 gravel. Then we're just going to click on this icon here, click on appearance, and we're just going to go and go to site work here. And we're just going to scroll down and look for gravel. So if you don't see gravel, you can just pick soil anyhow. It's still nice. Then click on apply, go to graphics, make sure it's used under appearance, click on OK, click on OK, click on OK. So we're now going to click on this box too, and we're just going to click on this box. Then we're now going to click on offset. we're now going to be offsetting 150 millimeter. Make sure this copy is checked on. Offset here, offset here, offset here. Then we're now going to offset again 600 millimeter. We're now going to offset it from here. Then we're going to click on trim and trim this here. So after doing this, we're just going to click on Control, or we can just hover around one of these lines, click on tab to select 4 of them. Then we're going to click on copy, pick this point here, pick this second point, and just repeat the same thing till it fills up this place. So this one is off here, so we can click on this line and delete this, then click on split and split this line here and just trim this here. So this is looking boring in a way, so we are just going to click on offset, and we're going to be offsetting it from one side at a time. So I'm just going to change this to offset to 900. Make sure I uncheck this copy now. Then I'm going to offset here. If I offset here at this one, I'm going to offset here. Then the same thing like that. This, and this. So what we're now going to do now is we're just going to select all these lines. We're going to make sure we click copy to clipboard. We're going to make sure this gravity is set at 0, and we're going to click on finish. Then we're now going to create floors again. We're going to click on edit type and change duplicate and call this 00 stamped concrete. Then I'm just going to click on OK. Then I'm going to click on edit type. I'm just going to click on this and change the material as usual and call this concrete, stamped concrete. Then I'm just going to click on this icon here to change the material. I'm going to go to appearance. I'm going to go to concrete. Then I'm just going to select this concrete material. Go to graphics, make sure it's user under appearance, click apply, click on OK. So instead of like this one, this stamped concrete is going to be 25 millimeter above the NGL. Then I'm going to click on paste, align to current view. Then you're going to see all those lines will appear. So the only thing I'm going to delete this line 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I'm going to click on trim and just trim this one to here and trim this to here. Then I'm going to click on finish. So now so far you can see how this is looking. So the final floor we are going to be creating is the background greenery. So the background greenery is just to create a base, so it will not be showing infinite. So we're just going to click on architecture. We're just going to click on floor. Then we're just going to click on this drop down and select this greenery. Then we're going to click on edit, duplicate, and we're just going to call this 00B green. So let's not waste too much time on spelling. Then I'm going to click on OK, click on edit, click on this grass material, right click, duplicate, and just change it to 00B green. Then I'm just going to click on this icon, click on appearance, go to site work, scroll down and just look for a lighter shaded green. So I'm just going to use this St. Augustine green. Then I'm going to click on graphics, make sure I use render appearance, click on apply, OK. Then I'm going to make sure this height offset is at 0 now. Then I'm going to click on pick line 2. I'm going to pick here, pick here, pick here, pick here, pick here, and pick here. So I'm just going to trim this to this, this to this. Then I'm going to click on this line work and draw a box here, encompassing this and creating a full loop here. Okay, so after this, I'm just going to click on finish. So now another thing we need to do is we need to create some curves. So if you click on 3D, we are going to rotate this and see what we have done so far. So you can see we have actually done an amazing work. You can see the packing, but we need to create curves for this greenery so it will look more refined and professional. So if you are using floors to create your site components in Revit, the ways to create curves is pretty a bit unique. So you are just going to go to file, you are going to go to new. Under this new, you are going to click on family. Then of course we are going to be clicking on and selecting the English metric, so because we are using the metric system here. Then I'm just going to scroll down and I'm going to be looking for metric generic profile. So I'm just going to scroll down and I'm just going to say metric profile here. Then I'm going to click on open. So once I've clicked on this, I'm going to imagine this point as the top or the bottom of the slab, depending on where I place it. So depending on what you want to do, is up to you. So I'm just going to click on line, but for this video, you can just follow me. So I'm just going to draw a line from here up to 225 millimeter. Click on enter. Then I'm just going to draw another line here up to 50 millimeter. I'm going to click on escape, draw a line here up to 125 millimeter. Then I'm going to draw a line here up to 150 millimeter. Then I'm just going to, I drew this line 150 millimeter. Then I'm just going to slant this line to join with this one here. Then I'm going to go to this profile usage, click on this drop down and set it as slab edge here. After setting it, I'm just going to hit Ctrl Save S and save it as curb. Then I'm going to click on save. Then I'm just going to click on load into project. Then I'm going to load it into the project. So if I go back to 3D view, I'm now going to go to architecture. I'm going to click on floors, click on this drop down, and I'm going to select floor slab edge. Then I'm going to click on this, click on edit type, duplicate this and call this curb. Then I'm just going to click OK. So I'm going to click on this profile here. I'm going to scroll up and look at this curb profile that we brought in. Then I'm going to assign a material to it. I'm also going to call that material curb. I think I have a curb material I've created before. So I'm going to click on it and click OK. Then I'm going to click OK. So remember that when I was drawing the profile, I drew it 225 above that square, that cross section meeting point. So I'm just going to put this offset of minus 225 to get the effect I want. Then I'm going to hover over the top edge of this slab. Then I'm going to click on tab and just once everything is highlighted, I'm just going to left click. Then you're going to see the curves everywhere. I'm going to do the same for this. I'm just going to click on tab again and left click and click on everything. So you can see we have our curves. So now we are just going to do some finesse touches. So for this finesse touch, I'm just going to be adding a white band just to indicate a white yellow band to just indicate traffic stuff. I've forgotten what they call that thing on the road. So for that, we are going to click on component. We are going to click on model in place. We are going to click on floors. We are going to click on OK. Click on OK. Then I'm just going to click on extrusion. I'm going to click on set. I'm going to click on pick work plane. Pick the top of this. Then I'm going to rotate this to the top. Then click finish. Okay, I've now sketched it. Alright, so now we're just going to click on, while we have set the work plane, we're just going to click on pick line tools. Then we're going to be picking these edges here carefully. Or we can even go to a more appropriate view to just see what we're doing very well. Then I'm just going to select this pick line tool, pick here as well, pick here and pick here. So we're going to start trimming. Then we're going to click on this trim tool here, trim this to this point, and just click on this line and extend it here. So what you can do instead of wasting too much time is to click on this offset. We're going to set the offset at 600 millimeter first. We're going to make sure this copy is unchecked. So once we hover around one line, we're just going to click on tab for the rest of the lines to select and offset. So if it isn't working, we can go to another second line in the middle, or offset one first, or we can just make sure we check copy, then try it again, click on tab and it's going to offset. The same for this. Then we can delete these initial ones, hover around here, click on tab, delete these initial ones. Then we're now going to click on offset again. This time we're going to be setting it at 100 millimeters. Then we're going to offset this, click on tab, offset this too. So we're just going to close this loop here by closing this edge here and closing this edge here. Then we're also going to close this edge here as well and close this edge here as well. So now we're going to set the extrusion end. So for this, we don't want it to be too thick. We're just going to make it 2.5. So because it's basically a road paint. Then we're just going to assign a new material to it. So this time we're just going to be right clicking on this, duplicating it, and we're just going to call it, let me just say 01 road paint. Then I'm just going to click on this icon. I'm going to click on appearance. I'm going to scroll down and click on wall paint. Then I'm just going to select this canary yellow paint. Make sure these graphics parameters are set well. Click on apply, OK, and click on finish. So now we have basically set the site plan. What we just need to do is to go through some of the views that we don't need this site plan to be showing and hide them in place. For example, we're going to go to this ground floor. And another important thing to note is anything you do on these individual views is going to affect the views on the sheet as well. So it just makes everything seamless and connected. So we're just going to left click from this point, select all these floor features. We're going to now right click, hide in view by elements. We're going to do the same for the section view. We're just going to, okay, in the section view, we're not seeing much of it, so it's still fine. Then we're now going to go to, I think we are done at this point. So we're going to go back to this natural ground level and we're going to start picking our 3D camera shots. So to do that, we're going to go under this view tab. Then we're going to click on this 3D icon and you're going to see some options. So you're going to be seeing the walkthrough, camera, and default 3D. We're going to pick the camera. So before you pick the camera, you need to set the offset level. So we're going to set it at 600 millimeters from this natural ground level. So we're going to try and pick a normal 2-point perspective. So we're just going to be starting from somewhere here. So we want to grab the front as well as we're grabbing the side. So I'm just going to pick from here and pick it from this point here and pick this here. So once we've picked this 3D view, you are now going to see the whole shot. So we're going to just extend this here and we're going to also extend this here. So this is looking kind of distorted. So we can go back to NGL and we can just drag this back a bit to this point and just adjust the focus of this by dragging this point. So if you go under coordinates, okay, not coordination, we are supposed to have a 3D view icon here under this project browser. So if you click on this icon here, you're going to see this 3D view one. And now we have adjusted it. You can see how the thing changed. So we can now crop this manually and crop this to this point here. So I think this is good. Crop this here and extend this. So it's going to like balance out distance here. So after doing this, I think this is a very nice view. So we're going to start hiding stuff we don't need to see in this 3D view. For example, we're going to start from this scope box. So we're going to select one of them. We're going to right click, hide in view by category, just like we did for the floor plans initially. We're going to select this room separator lines, right click, hide in view by category as well. So after doing this now, we're now going to click on this GD, that is graphic display. Okay, Revit is asking us to save, so let's just quickly save it. So after clicking on this GD, we're going to click on this style and we're going to change it from hidden line to shaded. So after changing it from hidden line to shaded, we're going to uncheck this show edges and we're going to click on this smooth line with anti-aliasing. We're going to go to these shadows. We're going to click on cast shadows, check show ambient shadows. We're going to go to lighting and we're just going to increase this sun amount to 90, or we can increase it to 80. We can increase this ambient light to 20 and we can increase the shadows to 10 or even 15. I think 15 is good. Then we can click on this insertion lighting and instead of using this sunlight top to right, we can click on still. Then we can just set it at spring and we can set the time at, let's use 8 or 9 a.m. I think 9 a.m. is ideal. Then I'm going to click on apply and I'm going to click on OK. So I'm not going to click on this realistic. Okay, we don't need to use this. I'm going to click on this background. I'm going to click on this none and change it to gradient. Then after changing it to gradient, I'm going to click on this sky color and I'm going to change this towards blue. I'm just going to drag this towards this blue spectrum and I'm going to increase the brightness and just make it light blue and click OK. So the ground color, I'm going to click on this. I'm going to click on this color here. Then I'm going to adjust it towards shades of dark brown. Somewhere here, I think it's fine, and click OK. Then I'm going to click on apply and I'm just going to click on OK. So you can see how this is looking. I think this is looking nice, but we can just touch a few more things here. I'm going to click on GD again. I don't think it's bright enough, so I'm going to touch the lighting a bit. I'm going to go over here and increase the sun amount to 100, click on apply and increase this ambient light to 30 and click on OK. So I think it's much better like this. Then I'm just going to go over here and I'm going to click on this hide crop region. So after doing this now, the same way I saved template after setting the graphics for the ground floors, I'm also going to save the template parameters for this view, okay, which I think is looking stunning. So I'm just going to go to this view template, then I'm going to click on create and I'm just going to call this 003D view. Then I'm just going to click on OK. So after I've created this view template, I'm now going to click on OK. So I'm going to be picking the second 3D view. I'm going to go to this NGL again. I'm going to click on view, 3D view. I'm going to click on camera. So this time I'm going to be picking like from an approach shot. So I'm going to change this offset to 600 millimeters, and I'm just going to click on this point here and pick from this point, picking backwards up to this point here. So after doing this now, I'm just going to adjust this crop region here, to just get to the front of this saloon very well. Then I'm going to adjust this here. So after I've done this adjustment, instead of wasting my time like all I've done before, I'm just going to click on I'm going to click on view. I'm going to click on view template. I'm going to click on apply view template and just select this 003D view. And I'm going to click on OK. Then the setting we applied previously is going to apply, and you're going to see how it's looking. So I'm just going to go over here and I'm going to turn off this hide crop region. Then I'm going to drag it and place to sheet. So I'm going to open this 000A004 3D view 1, and I'm going to go over to this 3D views and drag this 3D view 1 here. So as you can see, we are not maximizing the size of this sheet, so we can adjust this. So we're going to click on this view here, this view I've placed on the sheet. We're going to click on this drop down and change it to no title. Then we're going to click on the view again. We're now going to click on size crop region, and we're going to click on make sure we check the scale locked proportions. Then we're going to now change this size to 400 and click OK. Then we're just going to use the 4 keys, directional keys on our keyboard to manually adjust it. So you can see it's looking big and very bold. So we're also going to go down. We're going to go to this 3D view sheet 2. We're going to drag in this second one here, paste it here. Click on this, change it from view title to no title, then click on view size crop region. Make sure I check this scale and change this to 400 millimeters as well, the width, and then we're going to click OK. Then we're going to drag it to position. So looking at this, you can see we have already pasted everything we need in this 4 sheets. So I like the concept of this logo. So this is looking very good. So now we're just going to finally print this, and we're going to be ending this tutorial video. So I'm going to hit Ctrl P in Revit to print. Very straightforward. I'm going to click on select views and sheets. Then I'm going to make sure I check this combine multiple sheets icon. Then I'm going to hit this select icon here. Then I'm going to click on this drop down here. Then I'm going to uncheck these 2 and 3D views and leave only sheets selected. Then I'm going to check all these sheets here. Then I'm now going to click on this edit print order. Just for surety, I'm going to make sure it's according to sheet number ascended. So it's going to start from ground for pen floor sections 3D view 1, 3D view 2. Then I'm going to click OK. Then I'm going to click on select. It's going to ask us whether we need to save these settings, but we don't need to, so I'm going to click no. So I'm now going to click on setup. I'm going to OK. And before I click on setup, I'm going to make sure this is Microsoft Print to PDF, which is supposed to be the first thing you see. So I'm now going to click on setup. I'm going to make sure this is at landscape. Then click on this drop down and change this to A3. Then I'm going to make sure I check this zoom icon here, zoom 100%. Then I'm going to click OK. So once I click OK, it's going to open our file explorer, and we're going to save it where we want to save it. So I'm just going to call this Saloon presentation. And we're just going to click on OK. Alright, so I think this brings us to the end of this video. So while waiting for the thing to print, I want to remind you to encourage us by subscribing to this channel. Share this video with your friends, especially people in the AEC industry. So this will be very helpful. So while doing so, you can check out our other videos. We have done a lot of videos covering different particular aspects of Revit, as well as other full courses of more complicated projects than this. Okay, so this is the PDF. So we have the ground floor, we have the pen floor, we have the section, the 3D view, and the second 3D view. So this basically, I think this tutorial covers a lot of aspects in Revit, especially when dealing with more conceptually inclined designs like this that doesn't require the conventional style of modeling, kind of a bit of advanced stuff. So I think this is a very wonderful stuff so far. So thanks for watching once again. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell to get notified once we release new videos like this. And with that said and done, I'm going to wish you good luck till we meet again in the next video.